Greetings and welcome to Fan Fiction Reader. I'm thrilled to bring fanfiction to life through audio. I put a lot of effort into these readings, so if you're enjoying the journey, please consider giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Your support means a lot. Now, let's dive into the story.
Chapter 71 Volume 1 Chapter 71 Indifference and Enthusiasm. Zhao Hai walked all the way and found that there were people in the villages he encountered this time, and there were more pedestrians on the road, which finally made Zhao Hai and the others feel relieved. But when he saw the people in these villages, Zhao Hai felt a lot. To be honest, although a 6th level black magician was very strong, in the eyes of a real strong person, they were nothing. If a 6th level black magician were allowed to, if a black magician were dueled with Green or Merlin, both Merlin and Green would be able to kill them instantly. But in the eyes of Merlin, he was like an ant, but in the eyes of ordinary civilians, he was like a god. They could kill them at will, and those civilians had no chance to resist. Zhao Hai knew that if he was not a being with space, then he would be no different from these civilians. In the eyes of those powerful people, he would also be an ant-like existence. He wanted to become stronger, but unfortunately, he drank the water of nothingness, and it was impossible for him to learn any magic and fighting spirit. The only thing he had left to rely on was space. I am an ant-like existence. Well, then I have the consciousness of being an ant. I will not think about conquering anything, nor will I think about robbing anything. I just want to live my own little life. But Zhao Hai also understands that it is not easy to live a good life. Just because you don't cause trouble doesn't mean that trouble won't come to you. If he wants to live a stable life, he must have someone who can guarantee him a stable life. Power, and obviously he still has such power now. Power. This was the first time that Zhao Hai had such a strong desire for power, but unfortunately, he had no way to improve his power. Space is very magical, but it lacks attack power. However, it is possible to conquer some undead creatures for one's own use, but the undead creatures are not easy to collect. He does not dare to go to the corpse swamp to collect undead creatures. How about that? There is no difference between seeking death. Zhao Hai still clearly remembers the scene when he stood on the wall of the castle that day and watched the overwhelming number of monsters and undead creatures in the swamp. It was so shocking. How can we live a stable life before we have no power to protect ourselves? There is only one answer: find a place to hide where no one can find you. The Black Soil Wasteland is a good choice here. It is close to the evil land and no one will pay attention to it. But now there is a problem, which is the people that the Buddha family has provoked before. Others may not pay attention to them, but those old nobles will definitely pay attention to them. If you want those people not to pay attention to them, you have to find a way. It seems that Zhao Zui and the others must go to the swamp to conquer the undead creatures as soon as possible. It is best you have to create something else to attract those guys' attention. I hope that these things I have done can make those nobles stop paying attention to the Buddha family, otherwise Zhao Hai and the others will be in trouble. However, Zhao Hai thought of another way, which is to increase the level of the space faster. As long as the space exceeds level 10, he can open a ranch. When you open a farm, you only need to bring various plants into the space, and the level of the space can be improved. Then after opening the ranch, does it mean that you only need to bring animals from Ark Continent into the space, and the level can be improved? If that is really the case, then he can conquer the monsters, which will give him another strength. In fact, when the warcraft entered the Black Earth Wasteland, Zhao Hai also tried to collect those warcraft into the space, but failed. Obviously, those warcraft cannot be stored in the space now. It seems that they can only wait until the ranch is opened. Okay. Level, this is just like playing a game. If you are at a low level, you will be bullied everywhere. Just wait, don't let me get a higher level. When I get a higher level, I will raise a group of mythical beasts and kill you. While thinking about these things, he carried the alien through the city and the county. However, when passing through those small towns, Zhao Hai did not enter the city. To enter the city, he had to put the alien away and live in the city. It was not interesting to leave in one night, so Zhao Hai and the others went around outside the city. They found a hidden spot outside the city to hide in and spent the night in the space. However, Zhao Hai recently asked Green and the others to go to the city to understand the situation. This time the undead mercenary group dispatched such a big thing, it is impossible for people here not to get any news, so Zhao Hai wanted Green to go and find out. Let's look at the subsequent development of this matter. The result was beyond Zhao Hai's expectation. Zhao Hai thought that this matter would be very serious. After all, several people from the village died, but he did not expect that the news brought back by Green was so ordinary. Versailles the principality only wanted the undead mercenary group for a symbolic purpose, and then took over the land in those villages to the Versailles family, and then sent slaves to farm it. After that, there was no more and the matter was over. Zhao Hai felt a little dizzy after hearing Green's words. It was only now that he understood for the first time how much power the nobles had on this continent. The life and death of those civilians were nothing in the eyes of the nobles. Maybe they wanted those civilians to die more, so that their land area could be increased at once. Zhao Hai gave a helpless smile. He still has not fully adapted to the thoughts of the people here. Maybe in the eyes of those nobles, civilians and slaves are not human beings, but in Zhao Hai's eyes, human beings are human beings, even if he is a slaves are human beings too. The Versailles family dealt with the deaths of civilians and the undead mercenary group with great indifference, but they handled the other two matters with great enthusiasm. One was the attack on the Magidal family and the other was this is Zhao Hai's matter. Regarding the attack on the Magidal family, I heard that the Versailles family was very enthusiastic. Not only did Grand Duke Versailles come to express condolences in person, but he also provided some preferential policies such as tax exemption. It can be said that the enthusiasm is a bit too much. A portion. The other thing is about Zhao Hai. Zhao Hai appeared as a black magician, and now it has been spread that he is a high-level black magician. It is very dangerous for such a person to be placed anywhere. Yes, so the Versailles family pays great attention to Zhao Hai. Of course, Green heard this news from the mouths of mercenaries or businessmen and has not been confirmed. However, Green believes that there is no smoke without fire and this matter may be true. Zhao Hai didn't think there was anything remarkable. This incident was also expected by them. A high-level black magician was a big killer wherever he was. Such existence suddenly appeared in Versailles. In the principality, if the Versailles family doesn't pay attention, then it's a ghost. In fact, it is also a result that Zhao Hai wants to see. The Versailles family has noticed them. Although this will bring them a lot of trouble, in general, it is a good thing. They have focused their attention on Zhao Hai. With the identity of this black magician, Adam's identity will naturally not be thought of. In this way, Adam's identity will be safer. However, Zhao Hai and the others still found that there were always some mercenaries and adventurers around them in the past few days. These people had no evil intentions towards them, but Zhao Hai and the others knew that they were being watched. This situation was also expected by Zhao Hai and the others. They did not show too much and were still on their way. However, at night, after Zhao Hai and the others entered the space, they left the aliens outside and let the people who monitored them thought that he was resting in the body of an alien. Zhao Hai didn't know that those who were monitoring them were envious of them. Although there were many black magicians on the mainland who could summon some undead creatures to take with them, people like Zhao Hai couldn't. Rare. There are many kinds of undead creatures summoned by black magicians on the mainland, including skeletons, zombies, succubi and other dark creatures. It can be said that skeletons are the lowest level undead creatures that can be summoned by all dark summoners. And even if those black magicians can summon skeletons, they can't use skeletons as mounts. Skeletons are all bones and are too hard. Even if someone uses skeletons to travel, they usually use several humanoid skeletons to carry one like a sedan. Something that is as comfortable as Zhao Hai. Although skeletons are the lowest level of undead creatures that can be summoned by dark summoners, those who have seen aliens understand that the skeleton summoned by Zhao Hai is obviously not among them. The dark green color, the ferocious bone spurs, the speed of a galloping horse, and the unintentional display of power all frightened those who monitor Zhao Hai. They really want to know what Zhao Hai is. What kind of monster must be killed to become such an undead creature? The summoned beasts of the Dark Summoner are generally divided into two types. One is summoned directly from an alien plane. This kind of summoning is very contingency. This contingency does not mean that you want to summon a skeleton, but a zombie suddenly appears. But it means that you don't know the level of the thing you summoned. For example, you want to summon a skeleton to fight, but what you summon is a gray half-length skeleton with little combat power. This kind of thing, an adult can be kicked to pieces, let alone used for fighting. In other words, with this summoning technique, you have no way to control the level of the undead creatures you summon. Skeletons also have levels. The lowest level is the gray half-body skeleton. In the undead world, this kind of skeleton is like a weed with no attack power. The value of their existence is to serve as an entry point for other undead creatures. Level of nourishment. But this summoning technique is also the most commonly used by dark summoners, because this summoning technique does not require high magic power. Even a low-level summoner can use it multiple times. Of course, the higher the level of the magician, the stronger the magic power, the higher the level and the more types of dark creatures that can be summoned. You must know that even the lowest level nightmare has the strength equivalent to a 5th level warrior, let alone those low-level skeletons. Comparable. Chapter 72 Volume 1 Chapter 72 A scenery. However, This method of directly summoning undead creatures from a different location has a very fatal flaw, which is time. The existence of these undead creatures summoned from other planes in Arc Continent is limited by time, and this time limit is related to the summoner's own ability and the level of the summoned dark creatures. Theoretically, the higher the level of a summoner and the stronger the magic power, the longer his summoned creatures can exist in Arc Continent. The higher the level of a dark creature, the shorter its existence in Arc Continent will be. Of course, there are exceptions. If you summon a powerful dark creature, as long as you are willing to give some life force, you can make this dark creature live in Arc Continent for a long time. However, generally no summoner will have this method, because the higher the level of the dark creature, the stronger the vitality it requires. If you want a demon to stay in Arc Continent for a long time, you may die immediately. In addition, magicians have a long time. The more such people, the more precious their time is. Therefore, under normal circumstances, they will not use this method to keep undead creatures from other planes here in Arc Continent for a long time. Another method used by the Dark Summoner is to create undead creatures on the Arc Continent, like the one used by the Undead Mercenary Group. Every summoning magician can create a summoning space. In this summoning space, nothing can be placed except summoned beasts. The summoning magician only needs to turn the people or monsters he kills into undead creatures. Go to the summoning space, but accordingly, the level of the undead creatures created this way will be greatly reduced, and they will not be able to upgrade for life. It is precisely because of this that those who monitor Zhao Hai and the others are very surprised. The alien can tell at a glance that it is not summoned from an alien plane. If it is summoned from an alien plane, he should have disappeared by now. Will not always exist. But looking at the alien's combat power, they can tell that the alien must now have at least the strength of a 5th level warrior. Such a monster is still artificially created. So what level was it before it was killed? Everyone was a little confused. Under normal circumstances, a magician can only create low-level undead creatures. If they create high-level undead creatures, they have to pay the price of their own life force. Generally, the combat power of low-level undead creatures cannot exceed that of a 4th level warrior. Could this green undead creature be an advanced undead creature created by the black magician? He doesn't want his life. Of course, Zhao Hai and the others knew what would happen if they released aliens, but they didn't care. If Zhao Hai fought with others in the future, they would release more undead creatures, and those undead creatures their level is not much lower than that of the aliens. When the time comes, it will be impossible to hide it, so it is better to let them know earlier. There are few places on the Great Arc Continent that can produce undead creatures by themselves. The places that can produce undead creatures by themselves are notoriously dangerous places on the continent, such as the Carrion Swamp and the Demonic Abyss. These two places are among the 5 most notorious places on the mainland. In the past 100 years, no one has been heard of being able to escape from these 2 places alive. In the past 1,000 years, even those who have escaped from these 2 places have no one who survived could survive 5 years in good health. It is for this reason that the Carrion Swamp and Demonic Abyss have become truly forbidden places. No adventurers go there because no one wants to die. It is precisely for this reason that it has rarely been seen on the mainland that the undead creatures produced in the Arc Continent are used as dark summoners to summon creatures. People have forgotten that such summoned creatures exist. There is a reason why Zhao Hai dared to release the alien so blatantly. The place where he first appeared was Montenegro Fortress. If someone associates the alien with the Carrion Swamp, it can explain why he appeared in Montenegro. Don't worry, people on the mainland will only regard Zhao Hai as a crazy black magician and will not associate him with Adam, so that his identity as Adam will be safer. You must know that when Zhao Hai and the others appeared, the Black Earth wasteland had just been baptized by the monsters and undead creatures in the Carrion Swamp. Not long after those monsters and undead creatures had receded, Zhao Hai appeared in Black Mountain Fortress, so that others could, even if they knew that the alien was an undead creature from the Carrion Swamp, they would think that he was caught in the Black Wasteland and that he was a little crazy, but they would never associate him with the Buddha family. Zhao Hai and the others are not advancing very fast. It can be said that their advancement speed is still very slow. This is what Zhao Hai and the others did deliberately. Zhao Hai and the others want to cooperate with Magical Trading Company. They attach great importance to this cooperation, so the person they cooperate with must be someone they can trust, and there is no one more suitable than Laura. But now Laura has not returned from Montenegro, so even if Zhao Hai and the others arrive at Casa City in advance, they will not make a deal, so they are not in a hurry and just move forward slowly. But what no one knows is that Green has sneaked into Casa City in advance, and now appears above the head of the alien every day. The man wearing full armor is not Green, but a slave with a similar build to Green. Green has to go to Casa City in advance to make preparations, He has to buy a small manor and make some preliminary preparations. When everyone is focusing their attention on Zhao Hai and the others, Green should do these things. It won't attract anyone's attention. Of course, Zhao Hai and the others are not doing nothing. They have been drawing maps. They want to draw the terrain of all the places they pass along the way. Zhao Hai still knows too little about the world. He wants to know more about the situation around his home. Now he really lacks a sense of security. Because Green is not around, Zhao Hai and the others are even more careful. They don't move very fast every day, and they mostly take some highways. Even when they want to go around the city, they will find some roads that are commonly used by people. Zhao Hai did this because he was afraid that someone would come up to test them. However, they only had Merlin here and Green was not there. Their combat effectiveness had dropped by nearly half, so he had to be careful. In fact, Zhao Hai thinks too much. His current identity is a black magician that no one wants to mess with. No one dares to doubt his identity. As long as he sees the alien, no one will mess with him. It can be said that Zhao Hai and others underestimated the power of black magicians to intimidate ordinary mercenaries and adventurers. The mercenaries and adventurers walking outside knew very well that they would rather offend a powerful 7th level warrior than go there. If you offend a level 4 black magician, if you offend a samurai, that samurai will most likely kill you. But if you offend a black mage, you will most likely be tortured to death by him and then become an immortal. Creatures fight for him. Adventurers and mercenaries are not afraid of death, but when they think about having to fight for their enemies after they die, they feel uncomfortable. They would rather have their bodies eaten by monsters than become an undead creature. It is for this reason that no adventurer or mercenary dares to offend a black magician, especially a black magician with a summon beast whose combat power can reach a level 5 warrior. Although Zhao Hai and the others were not moving very fast, they attracted the attention of the entire Principality of Versailles. Whether it was the caravans they met on the road or ordinary pedestrians, everyone paid great attention to them. The other reason was just because their battle with the undead mercenary group was spread. The immortal mercenary group is so famous on the mainland that almost no one dares to offend them. Now Zhao Hai actually fought with the immortal mercenary group and even beat it away. This cannot but draw people's attention. No one thought that Zhao Hai and the others could capture the entire immortal mercenary group. In the eyes of those people, that was impossible. The immortal mercenary group could survive so many battles unscathed. That was not true. What they brag about is actually what they are fighting for. Apart from being chased by the Xenia family and almost wiping out the group, the immortal mercenary group has almost never suffered any losses, so even if Zhao Hai and the others showed with strong fighting power, no one believed that they could capture the undead mercenary group. The reason why those people pay attention to Zhao Hai and the others is, firstly, they want to see who is so bold and dare to offend the undead mercenary group, and secondly, they want to see when the undead mercenary group will take revenge on Zhao Hai and the others. But what disappoints everyone is that Zhao Hai and the others walked safely all the way. The undead mercenary group seemed to have disappeared and did not come to trouble Zhao Hai and the others at all. This made everyone feel a little uncomfortable. Explanation: because this is so unlike the behavior of the undead mercenary group. In this way, Zhao Hai and the others, under the gaze of everyone in the Principality of Versailles, walked slowly and slowly towards Casa City. Along the way, they almost became a scenery, which made Zhao Hai and the others very excited. Have no choice. However, their goal was achieved, and everyone's eyes were focused on them. No one paid attention to the Buda family, and no one paid attention to the small manor in a hill outside Casa City. The price was bought. This small manor was originally built by a businessman. I don't know how he chose it in the first place. This manor was built on a very remote hill outside Casa City. The land on that hill was very barren and nothing could grow. The only thing that can be praised is that there is a hot spring on the mountain, and the manor is built on this hot spring, surrounding the hot spring inside. Obviously, the businessman wanted to come to this small manor for vacations and hot spring baths from time to time, but unfortunately, he later went bankrupt, and because the manor was too remote, no one was willing to buy it. After Green learned the news, he bought this place immediately. Although this small manor was not worth 100 gold coins, Green bought not only the manor, but also the hill where the manor was located. Chapter 73 Volume 1 Chapter 73 Outside Casa City. The reason why Green chose the hill is that it is cheap. You can buy the manor and the hill for 100 gold coins. The second reason is that it is very close to Casa City. Even with an ordinary carriage, it only takes 2 days. It can be walked in time, and it only takes 4 days to go back and forth. It is completely feasible to export vegetables like radishes far away. The third thing is that this place is very remote. Under normal circumstances, no one will notice it, even if someone does. It is difficult to monitor them because the mountain they are on is even worse than the Iron Mountain where the castle is located. There is nothing on the mountain except some stones. Standing on the manor, you can see the entire mountain clearly. In vain, there is no place to hide people. There are almost manors on the mountains near Casa City. These manors are either resorts for nobles or one of the sources of income for those manors. Moreover, transactions in such manors are very common and no one will pay attention to them. After Green bought the manor, he immediately went to Casa City. He wanted to find out what was going on in the city and what the Versailles family's attitude was towards the sudden appearance of Zhao Hai, a black magician. The most important thing is that he wants to find a place for Zhao Hai and others in the city. They don't have much money in their hands now, only less than 50 gold coins left, and if they want to sell the carrots, we still need to wait until Laura and the others come back. But 50 gold coins, although it may be a lot for a commoner, is too little for them. In a big city like Casa, their consumption level is also very high. These 50 gold coins, I'm afraid it won't last long. Zhao Hai and the others were still walking slowly on the road. The original 7-day journey took them 10 days. On the 10th day, they finally arrived at Casa City. Zhao Hai did not enter Casa City directly, but stayed outside Casa City for the whole night. Anyway, when they arrived outside Casa City, it was already dark. Others thought that Zhao Hai and the others did not want to go into the city because it was dark. In fact, Zhao Hai and the others were waiting for Green here. Green was their front station. When Green arrived, they would know what the arrangements were in Casa City. That's it. In the middle of the night, Green sneaked up next to the alien, and then a crack in the space flashed and Green entered the space. Outsiders did not notice this at all, because space does not belong to the category of magic at all, and there is no magic fluctuation when used. Therefore, those around who were monitoring Zhao Hai and the others did not notice it. Zhao Hai and the others were waiting for Green in the space. When they saw Green coming in, Zhao Hai and the others immediately greeted him and said to Green, "Grandpa Green, how are you?" Green said with a smile, "Don't worry, young master, everything has been arranged. I bought a small manor outside the city. We can live there. When Laura comes back, we can trade with her." Zhao Hai breathed a sigh of relief, nodded and said, "That's good, let's go to the manor to settle down first. I want to visit Casa City in the next 2 days." Green nodded and said, "We should go to Casa City to have a look. In the past few days, I have found that the Versailles family seems to attach great importance to us, and there are more people from all walks of life in Casa City, and they seem to be targeting us. Come on, we should show our faces." Green's words may sound a bit contradictory, but Merlin and the others understand what Green means. Now they are not afraid of anyone checking Zhao Hai's identity, because this is an identity that does not exist in the first place. He is a black magician who suddenly appeared in the world. Let those people investigate. They are not afraid no matter how they investigate. What they are afraid of is that those people discover the identity of their Buddha family. So Green wants Zhao Hai to show his face in front of those people and attract those people's attention. Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Okay, I really want to see how they will treat me, but there is one thing I am still worried about. That is the person behind Zhao Zui and the others. Zhao Zui and the others have it's been more than 10 days since I took them into my space, and they haven't contacted that organization for so many days. Do you think that organization will doubt us?" Green nodded and said, "This is very possible, but we don't need to be afraid of them. On the contrary, I want them to come to us. As long as they come, we can find more clues from them." Green and the others also thought about whether to let Zhao Zui and the others go out and contact the organization behind them so that the people in that organization would not suspect them. However, Green and the others were also a little afraid, fearing that Zhao Zui and the others would be seen by that organization. Here comes the flaw. Originally, Zhao Zui's soul fire was green, but now it's red. Originally, their bones were white, but now it's green. Originally, they would execute the organization without any compromise. Order, but now they all respect Zhao Hai. If this goes on for a long time, the organization will definitely see the flaws and it will be even more troublesome. So Green and the others finally decided to let Zhao Zui and the others disappear first, so that even if the organization suspected Zhao Hai and the others, there would be no evidence. This might be better. Zhao Hai nodded and said, "That's fine. Let's go to the manor to settle down first tomorrow. Once settled, we will go to Casa City." Green nodded, but he said with an embarrassed face, "Master, we can go to Casa City, but we can't buy anything. Now I only have 50 gold coins left in my hand. This amount of money is really too much. Not enough for us." Zhao Hai also smiled bitterly. Now they really can't do anything. For 50 gold coins, they can't even buy the most ordinary oil press, let alone do anything else. Fortunately, Green and the others had bought a lot of supplies and food, which they couldn't eat in a short period of time, so they didn't have to worry about going hungry. Zhao Hai shook his head and said, "Then don't buy anything. Go to the city to have a look, and we will come back. When we get here, we have to show up in the city to let those people know that we are here." Green chuckled and said, "Okay, then after we get settled, we will go to the city for a walk. I really want to see how those people want to deal with us." Zhao Hai smiled slightly and didn't say anything. He knew that Green and the others had been very frustrated recently. The Buddha family was suddenly wiped out, leaving Green and the others unable to react. In order to save Adam's life, they had to act like those big men. The noble bowed his head, which was obviously not in line with Green's character. It was even worse when they got to the black soil wasteland, where they were overwhelmed by the pressure of life every day. They didn't dare to let people know their identities outside, because once others knew their identities, they would be finished. But it's different now. Now they have another identity. This identity can act openly in the world, which also gives Green and the others a sense of new life. Although they know that their current identity is not very popular with outsiders, this identity is much stronger than the identity of the Buddha family. At least when they walk outside with this identity, they will not be afraid of the old nobles coming to deal with them. A person has always been unable to see the light, but suddenly one day he can finally see the light and act openly and openly. This feeling really cannot be described in words. Of course, Green and the others still remember their identities as members of the Buddha family, but they also know that their current performance will prevent others from suspecting them. Sometimes, being too high profile is also a cover-up. If you want to act in a high-profile manner, naturally you can't hold back your grievances, so Green and the others are really looking forward to their future days. They must let out all the anger they had held back in their hearts in these days. Merlin frowned and said, "Master, how are we going to get away with such a high-profile act? This time, after we sell the radishes in our hands, we have to buy some machines, and then we have to go back to the black soil wasteland. No matter what, those are our roots, but if we are too high-profile, will we be targeted by those guys when we go back?" Green smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry, after the things here are dealt with, we will go to Montenegro. Then we will get into the woods and hide in the space for a few days. In this way, even if those people turn over the entire Iron Mountain, come here, they won't be able to find us. When the time comes, the young master will ask Xiao Zui and the others to lead the undead creatures to the black soil wasteland and make a fuss. I don't believe those people dare not go to the castle to look for us. When the storm is over, I promise there will be no problem when we return to the castle." Zhao Hai and Merlin also think this method is good. Now Zhao Hai has a lot of undead creatures in his hands. Although the space theory has added the intelligence of those undead creatures collected from the black soil wasteland, after all, those undead creatures have not yet truly communicated with Zhao Hai. Even if they are aliens, they only follow Zhao Hai's orders. Although they are doing better than before, they are like robots. They do whatever Zhao Hai orders them to do. They can't speak. But Zhao Zui and the others are different. They are humanoid undead creatures and they are also advanced undead creatures. Their intelligence is almost the same as before when they were alive. They can communicate with Zhao Hai easily, so Zhao Hai can let them lead those undead creatures. Run to the black soil wasteland and make some noise so that people outside will not dare to enter the black soil wasteland easily. People on the mainland may not necessarily be afraid of the black wasteland, but they must be afraid of the carrion swamp. All the monsters and undead creatures in the black wasteland came from the carrion swamp. No one dares to easily touch those in the black wasteland. Undead creatures and monsters are active on the ground. Of course, if someone really wants to visit the castle, then Zhao Hai doesn't mind letting Zhao Zui and the others take care of those people. You must know that Zhao Zui and the others are already 6th-level magicians themselves. Now, the bones have been strengthened and their fighting power has become even stronger. With the more than 1,000 undead creatures in Zhao Hai's hands, even 8th-level masters like Green and Merlin have to avoid them with such fighting power. Edge. Chapter 74 Volume 1 Chapter 74 Huo Ding Chapter 74 Fire Ding Zhao Hai stood under the bare hill, then turned to look at the lush mountains around him, and couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. When he first heard what Green said, he felt strange that a mountain, plus a manor, only cost 100 gold coins in total. This seemed too cheap, right? But when he got to the corner of the mountain, he understood why the mountain was so cheap. The cheap stuff really didn't mean it was good. This mountain really answers that sentence. You can understand it at a glance. Even if you really look at it with one eye, you can know what this mountain is like. There are no other special products on this mountain. If there is any special product, there is only one thing: stones. You can see blue stones everywhere. From a distance, you can still see weeds coming out of the cracks in the stones. There is a small manor on the top of the mountain. The outer walls are also made of bluestone. The whole mountain feels like a scab with a small hat on its head, revealing its half-glazed scalp and wisps of hair. His hair, not to mention how awkward it is. Standing next to Zhao Hai, Green naturally saw Zhao Hai's face. He couldn't help but blush. He also knew that the mountain was really terrible, but there was no way. The housing prices and land prices near Casa City were already relatively low. Other places are higher, and they don't have much money in their hands. Only this mountain is suitable for them. Green knew that Zhao Hai was dissatisfied, so he quickly said, "Master, although this mountain doesn't look like much, the manor is not too small. In addition, roads have been built from the bottom of the mountain to the manor, making it convenient to walk, and the manor is there is also a hot spring inside, which is also very nice to take a dip in." Zhao Hai understood that Green was afraid that he would look down on this mountain and that manor. Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, "It's okay, it's good here. It's a place like this that no one will look down on, and it will be safer. If there are any treasures, I really don't dare to buy them. It's a crime to possess them." Green nodded. To be honest, when he bought this yard, he really didn't think much about it. He just felt that it was very cheap and not far from Casa City. But it was best if Zhao Hai thought so. He no longer has to worry about Zhao Hai being dissatisfied here. Merlin and Meg also stood beside Zhao Hai. To be honest, let alone Zhao Hai, even the two of them felt dissatisfied when they saw this mountain. Zhao Hai didn't care, turned around and entered the room inside the alien body, directing the alien to walk up the mountain. He really wanted to see what was in this manor. As Green said, the only advantage of this stone mountain is that there is a stone road from the corner of the mountain to the manor on the top of the mountain. This stone road is obviously not paved with stones, and it uses some of the natural stones are dug out and are 5 meters wide. The person who built this road is very smart. The location he chose is the least undulating place on the rocky mountain, so there is no need to dig out too many stones, just put some cleaning the particularly tall stones will do the trick. But Zhao Hai felt a little strange when he looked at this road. Although he had lived on the plains in northern China before and had never seen any mountains, he still knew very well that the general road for carts on the mountains was not directly to the mountain. Those built on the top of the mountain are usually winding mountain roads. The so-called winding mountain road is a road built from the bottom of the mountain and spiraling upward. Although the road built in this way is much longer than the road that goes straight up the mountain, because the road has changed, the slope has become gentler, which is more conducive to vehicle movement. However, the road on Zhao Hai's rocky mountain goes straight up to the top of the mountain. It is inevitable that the slope of this road is very high. According to Zhao Hai's calculations, if he wanted to go up the mountain on this road with a carriage on earth, it's not that easy. I'm afraid it would be difficult for the horse to climb up the mountain just pulling an empty cart. But Zhao Hai didn't say anything, because he also discovered that there were traces of cars walking on this road, which showed that this road could be used. Zhao Hai also understood that the situation here on Ark continent cannot be compared to the situation on Earth. Judgment, so he didn't say anything, just carried the alien and walked straight up the mountain. Soon they arrived in front of the manor. There was no clear sign on the manor. The bluestone wall more than 3 meters high looked very tall and strong. The paint on the tall wooden door had fallen off a lot. It looked like it's a bit old, but it still gives people a very solid feeling. There is also some moss growing on the stones of the wall. It seems that no one has taken care of it for a while. Zhao Hai and the others got off the alien body and walked to the wooden door. The forest door was more than 2 meters high and nearly 5 meters wide. It was divided into 2 doors and was made up of thick wooden boards with iron bars on top. The paint on it has fallen off, but the original color of the wooden boards inside is revealed, which makes it look very old. Green stepped forward and pushed open the wooden door with force. A harsh grinding sound came from the door, and the wooden door was slowly pushed open. As soon as the door was opened, Zhao Hai and the others' eyes lit up. Not to mention how good the scenery in the courtyard was. Moreover, the courtyard was very large, no worse than the small square in the inner castle of Chentishan Castle. Such a large square is enough to build a small castle, but it is too big to be placed in this manner. After passing the square, there is a row of houses. There are about 4 houses in this row. However, these 4 houses do not seem to be used for living. Each room is made of wood and stone, with a double door 2 meters wide. The door is 2 meters long and a window is more than 1 meter wide. The roof is flat and seems to be paved with stone slabs. It seems that these 4 houses are used as living rooms or places to receive outsiders. Although these houses appear to be a bit dilapidated, with traces of rain erosion on the walls, a lot of paint on the windows and doors, and many places are cracked, but for those who want to live in it is still possible to avoid force. Zhao Hai looked at these houses and he was still very satisfied. The elephants here in the manor are indeed not good looking, but what does it matter? Almost all the buildings here are made of bluestone as the main material and are very solid. Although there are few people taking care of it, it has not caused much damage after being hit by wind and rain for so many years, which is already remarkable. Several people entered the house and found that the rooms here were all empty. There was no furniture inside. However, the room was quite spacious. As long as it was simply tidied up, it would not be a problem for people to live in it. After passing through this row of houses, I found a large patio-style yard inside. There was a big tree planted in the middle of the yard. The tree was so busy that I wanted to catch one, but I didn't expect that little fish was in the water. It was surprisingly flexible. With a flick of its tail, it escaped from Zhao Hai's claws. Zhao Hai was not catching fish, but stood up, looked around the house and said, "Okay, it seems we can raise more small fish like this here in the future. After a while, I will release a few undead creatures to guard the hill. Let those slaves out for some air, they must be exhausted after staying in the space for so many days." Green said with a smile, "Yes, let them come out and repair this place. By the way, I have seen the stones on this mountain. They are all very good. They are hard and are good for making various stone tools. Materials master, didn't you make rollers and millstones before? Isn't this a good opportunity? There is nothing else on this mountain, but there are plenty of stones." Zhao Hai nodded and laughed loudly and said, "Grandpa Green, it seems that we have really picked up a treasure this time. There are hot springs here. We can raise more fire tench, and we have made some of them with stones. The things we need, we can have a lot of money left." Chapter 75 Volume 1 Chapter 75 Next upgrade. Mark was quietly lurking in a forest. This forest was not very tall and could only be regarded as a shrub. But because it was a shrub, the grass here was very dense, which was more suitable for people like them to hide their figures. Mark is a death warrior specially trained by the Versailles family. Their training methods are different from ordinary warriors and mages. Most of what these people learn is based on some light kung fu, makeup, sneaking, and assassination. A group of alternative warriors who are specially trained by major families for their own families and are not afraid of death. This time, the family gave Mark a very simple task, which was to monitor the rock mountain. Because it was rumored that the black magician Zhao Hai bought the rock mountain some time ago, people in the family wanted to know what Zhao Hai was going to do here. Mark's location is very close to the rock mountain. He is halfway up the mountain next to the rock mountain. From here, he can see the situation on the rock mountain. Although he can't see what is going on inside the manor, outside the manor, there can't escape his eyes. He also wanted to see clearly what was going on inside the manor, but he found that it was impossible. The manor on Rock Mountain was shrouded in a layer of black fog, and he could not see what was going on inside at all. Mark, who had received professional training, it was very clear that the black mist was not produced by the rock mountain itself, but a kind of magic used by the black magician. In addition to the black mist, there are also many huge undead creatures wandering on the rocky mountain. Their dark green color, huge body, and will-o'-the-wisps flashing in their eyes make Mark a strictly trained death warrior. They all felt terrified. It is precisely because of this that Mark dare not go to Rock Mountain to check. Death warriors like Mark and others who are very good at sneaking are most afraid of this kind of undead creatures, because undead creatures sometimes rely on their ability to judge the location of objects. It's not the eyes, it's the way they feel. The undead creature's thirst for fresh flesh and blood is also well known on the mainland. No matter how you hide your body, it's useless. You can't let yourself become inhumane at all. As long as you are still a living creature, then you can't hide it from the undead. Mark really wanted to know what the people on the mountain were doing, but unfortunately, he couldn't see it and could only lie there and wait. Of course, it is impossible for Zhao Hai to know black magic like black mist. This kind of black magic was cast by Zhao Zui. With Zhao Zui and the others here, Zhao Hai will be more confident in pretending to be a black magician. The manor named Qingqi Villa by Zhao Hai is a busy scene. The slaves have been released from the space by Zhao Hai. Everyone is busy cleaning the manor, placing furniture and making various tools. This place is different from Taishan. Taishan close to them has nothing at all. There are no trees, and even stones cannot be mined at will because the mountain has been hollowed out by the dwarves. If you mine it randomly, it will collapse. But Rock Mountain is different here. The mountains here are full of stones and they can use them at will. The mountains around them are not that person's private territory. The woods on the mountains can also be cut down at will, so now they can feel free and bold. Make something you couldn't do before. However, Zhao Hai did not immediately go to the surrounding mountains to cut down trees. Those trees couldn't escape anyway. He was now asking the undead creatures to mine some stones and transport them back to the Villaferin and the others to make some hemp, pan and roller. Although N and the others also made several millstones and mills along the way, Zhao Hai thought it was not enough. They now have hundreds of thousands of kilograms of corn alone, and just a few millstones and mills are enough. Although they only have more than 100 people now, they plan to buy more people this time. In this way, the various tools they need will increase. They might as well be proud of the present and do what they can. Come out some. Zhao Hai didn't expect that people would already be watching them as soon as they arrived at Rock Mountain, but even if they knew, they wouldn't care. People have been watching them all the way, and they were used to it. It was Merlin's intention to cover the villa with black mist. Don't forget that Zhao Hai's current identity is a black magician. Black magicians are mysterious. If you don't make it mysterious, others will react. You will feel like there is something wrong with you. The manor was not big and more than 100 people worked together to sort it out. It took half a day to sort it out. During the rest of the time, Zhao Hai kept asking the undead creatures to mine some stones that they could use, and then put these stones away. All received in the space. Zhao Hai has already chosen a room for himself in the manor. The original owner of this manor can be regarded as a tolerant man. He had already thought about it when he built the manor, and had already introduced the hot spring water into it. Zhao Hai took one of the rooms and formed the hot spring pool in that room. Zhao Hai immediately chose that room as his bedroom. The only water source in the entire Rock Mountain comes from hot springs, but fortunately, the owner here thought of this when he built the manor, so he divided the hot springs in the manor into several, and one was specially used for bathing. One is for drinking water, and the other is for raising fish. It can be said that although this manor does not look like much on the outside, the internal construction is still good. It is obviously designed by experts and written by famous artists. Because he had been busy with things in the manor, Zhao Hai did not have time to take a good bath in the hot springs. He waited until dinner in the evening before returning to his room, taking off his magic robe and getting into the warm pool in his room. Inside, in the entire manor, only the winter pool in his room is the largest, measuring about 10 square meters. The winter pool in other rooms is only more than 2 meters long and about 1 meter wide. However, this manor is really well built. There is such a hot spring pool in every bedroom, which is already a great thing. Moreover, the drainage system in every room is very good. Have you ever washed it? When taking a bath, you only need to open the cork to drain the water in the pool. It is very convenient and hygienic. Zhao Hai sat in the pool and sighed comfortably. He didn't know how long it had been since he took a good bath like this. In the black soil wasteland, due to limited conditions, he could only wipe himself. There is no way to take a bath as comfortably as now, but now I finally have a chance. Gently stroking the water with his fingers, Zhao Hai looked at the slate of the roof and said softly, "It would be great if I could soak in hot springs every day." By the way, it seems that the hot spring water has not been sent to the space for inspection. We should see how the water quality is. After speaking, he moved his hand and a space crack appeared next to him. A stream of hot spring water flowed into the space, and Zhao Hai immediately closed the crack again. Fortunately, those slaves were sleeping in the houses outside today. Otherwise, if Zhao Hai did this, none of those people would be able to sleep. As soon as the hot spring water entered the space's prompt sounded. High-grade hot spring water contains a variety of minerals that are beneficial to the human body. It can be drunk. Useful minerals can be extracted to upgrade the space water. The space meets the upgrade requirements. Upgrade to level 6, add a hot spring, and reward a bag of cauliflower seeds, with a planting area of 2 acres. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment. He knew that if he put the hot spring water into the space, there would be a reaction in the space. However, if Zhao Hai thought about it, the space would at best be like the last time he brought the water from Lake Yamanaka into the space at Taishan. Similarly, it would be good to upgrade the space water level, but I didn't expect that this time, the space level would be directly upgraded. Although it has only been upgraded to 1 level and is not yet at the level where new lands can be opened, Zhao Hai is happy as long as it is upgraded. Aren't all space upgrades coming 1 level at a time? He is not in a hurry. However, Zhao Hai noticed something mentioned in the space prompt, adding a hot spring. How is this going? When he thought of this, Zhao Hai couldn't wait any longer. Without any clothes on, he dodged directly into the winter pond and entered the space. As soon as he entered the space, Zhao Hai discovered the difference. There used to be only 1 spring in front of the wooden house, but now there is another spring next to that spring, and the water emerging from that spring is steaming out. It seems that the temperature is not low. Zhao Hai didn't care about his naked butt anymore. There was no one in the space anyway. He quickly ran to the hot springs and looked at all the hot springs, but he didn't dare to reach out and touch them. He knew very well that the temperature in the space was not low. He stayed in the space with his bare buttocks and did not feel cold at all. However, the hot spring water was still steaming. This could only mean one thing, that is, this hot spring the temperature of the water is very high, probably around 80 degrees. The temperature of 80 degrees can be enough to boil eggs. Zhao Hai will naturally not put his hands in that water, but as long as the water is treated, it can still be used for hot spring bathing. I think the hot spring in the house on Luanxi Mountain is also done in the same way. I looked at the space again and saw that there was nothing going on. The oil fruit trees were growing well and could be harvested tomorrow. The corns were also growing well and could be harvested tomorrow. There was nothing going on today. Zhao Hai stepped out of the space and returned to the hot spring pool, lying there quietly, counting the things in his hands. Now I have 3 seasons of radishes, 80,000 jins per season, 240,000 jins in total. I have planted the second batch of oil fruit kernels. The first batch has been harvested for 9 seasons, and the second batch has now been harvested. 2 seasons have been harvested, a total of 11 seasons, and a total of about 4.95 million kilograms of oil fruits have been harvested. There have been 26 seasons of corn harvest, 2 of which are 2 acres and the remaining 24. The season is 4 acres and a total of about 3,200 jins of corn was obtained. 2 days ago, he took the time to stop the corn and planted wheat, cabbage, and eggplants. He got about 3,200 jins of wheat and about 3,200 jins of eggplants. There are 20,000 caddies and there are 20,000 caddies of cabbage. There are still 600 gold coins in the space now. I just got a bag of cauliflower seeds. The rest are some pasture seeds. These are all Zhao Hai's current properties. Chapter 76 Volume 1 Chapter 76 Casa City After 0 o'clock. There is another chapter. These things seem to be a lot, but very few can actually be turned into money immediately. Corn and oil fruits have the highest yields, but these two cannot be turned into money immediately. No one wants corn, but oil fruits must become oily. Some people will want it, and no one will want so much at once. Eggplants and cabbages are both vegetables. When Zhao Hai first started planting them, he just wanted to improve his life and add 2 more vegetables to his space. I am afraid that no one in the mainland would buy these 2 things now, nor could they turn into money. Not to mention wheat. Not to mention the low yield. If you want to turn it into noodles eaten on the mainland, it has to be deeply processed. If you just buy wheat, you won't get much money. Now I can only direct the radish, hoping that the radish can be bought at a good price. Now there are only 600 gold coins left in the space, so Zhao Hai is not planting radishes. If he were planting radishes, he would probably use all the gold coins in his hand to buy seeds. Zhao Hai is going to plant cauliflower after harvesting this season's corn tomorrow. Although the cauliflower seeds are only enough to plant 2 acres, he still needs to plant them. The cauliflower will be planted on 2 acres of land. Of wheat. Anyway, he still has 3,000 kilograms of wheat in his warehouse, which can be used as seeds. Zhao Hai doesn't want to use the space to grow wheat. Wheat can only be made into flour, and the price of flour on the mainland is not very high. Zhao Hai can completely grow other things with higher prices in the space, and then buy flour. This is more cost-effective. However, Zhao Hai has a habit. If he wants to grow corn, he will plant corn on 4 acres of land. Therefore, after planting 2 acres of cauliflower, he would rather plant wheat on the remaining 2 acres of land than corn. There are still too few things to plant in his hands. On the way, Zhao Hai did not collect other plant seeds because there were people staring at them along the way. If he collected those seeds, it would make people feel uncomfortable. It's strange, so Zhao Hai didn't mess around. Zhao Hai has already thought about it. He cannot collect seeds by himself. Even if he is very powerful, how many seeds can he collect? People will also find out, which is not cost-effective. After he got the money, he planned to buy some of the seeds that were currently available, and then publish a mission in the tavern, asking the mercenaries and adventurers to find them for him. In this world, as long as you have money, you can let those mercenaries and adventurers do anything. You can publish the missions you want, even if you publish a mission to assassinate the king in the Aksu Empire. As long as you can afford it, someone will dare to take it. Of course, whether it will work or not is another question. Zhao Hai was sitting in the hot spring pool, thinking about these things in his head. Now the strength in his hands is not weak, but the funds available in his hands are too small, and his enemies are too strong, so Zhao Hai decided to maintain his usual low-key style. Suddenly, a slight feeling of dizziness came over him. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, then shook his head and stood up. He was really dissatisfied with his current physical condition. After just soaking in the hot spring for a while, he could actually, I feel dizzy, this body is so fucked up. He stood up, picked up the towel next to him, dried his body, put it on to sleep, walked to the bed, picked up the kia pot from the bedside, poured himself a cup of kia, sat on the bed and drank quietly. Take a bite. Zhao Hai felt that his body was a little weak. He knew it was because he had soaked in the hot spring for too long, but he was really too lazy to move now. During this period, he had endured too much pressure, both externally and mentally. Every moment, he seems to be living under pressure. Now, after taking a bath in the hot spring, he suddenly felt discouraged. He didn't want to imagine anything, and he didn't want to think about anything. He just wanted to lie there quietly. If he usually lay like this, he would probably fall asleep soon, but today was an exception. He just lay so quietly, not thinking about anything in his head, but he didn't feel sleepy at all. After staying in this state for who knows how long, Zhao Hai suddenly woke up. Although he had not fallen asleep, he felt like he was really awake now. Zhao Hai shook his head gently, getting rid of the dark and low thoughts in his head. Now he had no time to be sentimental, he had too many things to do. After calming down his emotions, Zhao Hai decided to have a good sleep. They were going to Kasa City tomorrow. He really wanted to see what this city, known as the Northern Pearl of the Aksu Empire, was like. This was the first time Zhao Hai was going to a big city after waking up, and he really had some expectations in his heart. Although Adam had been living in the imperial capital of the Aksu Empire before, which was the largest and most prosperous city in the Aksu Empire, and Zhao Hai had also fully taken over Adam's memories, those memories were only in his head like watching a movie. It had appeared before, but it didn't feel so real. He was really looking forward to going to Kasa City this time. After a night of silence, the slaves felt that they had slept soundly. Although the environment in the space was better than outside, with no wind and a stable temperature, the feeling of sleeping in the open air still made them feel comfortable. I felt restless sleep. Early the next morning, everyone woke up in high spirits. Most of the rooms here had hot springs, so the slaves also took a good bath and everyone slept soundly. However, after breakfast, the slaves entered the space again and went there to learn calligraphy, but Zhao Hai and the others called them aliens and walked straight to Kasa City. From Rock Mountain to Kasa City, it would take 2 days by carriage, but what Zhao Hai and the others were riding was not a carriage, but an alien. The speed of the alien was no worse than that of a galloping horse. Since he upgraded, the speed seems to be even faster. Horses will tire when running, but aliens will not. They will always move forward at the same speed, so their speed will be even faster. It only took a little more than half a day to travel. Zhao Hai and the others arrived at the foot of Kasa City. It was also the first time for Zhao Hai to get so close to observe Kasa City. There were several big mountains around Kasa City. Obviously, in order to keep up with the mountains. Consistently, Kasa City is not a square city wall like a traditional city, but circular. There are 6 groups and 18 gates in total. The city wall is nearly 30 meters high and about 6 meters thick. It is very majestic. The running of the bull's flag of the Versailles family was planted on the city wall. Groups of soldiers walked past the city wall from time to time. The wall stacks, which were as high as half a man, could not block the heroic appearance of those soldiers. The silver-white armor shone brightly. Hangwang's weapons all showed their extraordinary qualities. Zhao Hai stood under the city wall and looked at the straight soldiers standing at the entrance of the city wall and the majestic city wall. He couldn't help but marvel in his heart. Although China on Earth has many ancient city walls, Zhao Hai has never been there before. The oil city is a completely new city, and there is no such thing as a city wall. Having said that, even in those ancient cities with city walls at that time, those city walls could only be a decoration. You can't expect the city walls to withstand missile attacks. In this way, the city walls will naturally lose their momentum. But the city wall here is really used to defend against enemies. Standing under the city wall, feeling the majestic momentum of the city wall like an iron wall, Zhao Hai was amazed. Zhao Hai has put away the aliens. This is also the rule of ordinary cities, especially in big cities like Kasa City. About 500 meters away from the city wall, there is a warning zone. If you have no ill intentions towards the city, it is best to put away all your summon beasts, otherwise the defenders will regard you as being malicious to the city, and may attack you. Although Zhao Hai didn't know this, Green and the others did, so he asked Zhao Hai to collect the aliens about 500 meters away from Kasa City. Although they want to attract everyone's attention, it does not mean that they want to cause trouble. As long as they keep a high profile, there is no need to cause trouble. If they really fight, they may expose themselves. There are many secrets in them. Green didn't understand why Zhao Hai stopped at the city wall. Although the big hat of the black magic robe blocked Zhao Hai's movements, Green could still clearly feel that Zhao Hai was sizing up the city wall. Such an action was it is easy to arouse the suspicion of the defenders. If the defenders did not see him as a magician, they would have come to question him long ago. Fortunately, Zhao Hai looked at it for a while, then came to his senses and followed Green and Meg towards the city. Merlin did not come out with them. Zhao Hai didn't want others to know too much of his power now. Zhao Hai waved his hand and walked towards the city gate. He found 2 large boxes at the city gate with the word tax written on them. It seemed that they were boxes specially used to collect taxes, so everyone who entered and exited the city gate had to pay taxes. You have to put money into the box to get in, otherwise you will be stopped. However, Zhao Hai did not invest money because he remembered that Green and the others told him that magicians like him did not need to invest money because the country stipulated that magicians were tax-free. Of course, it doesn't mean that you can be tax-free by wearing a magic robe. You must first register with the Magicians Guild and get a magician badge before you can be tax-free. If you don't have a badge, that won't work. However, Zhao Hai is an exception. Although he does not have a magician badge, he came with an alien, and the alien has already shown his identity as a magician. If this is the case, if the defenders still dare to stop him, then it's just too blind. There are many black magicians on the mainland, and they will not register with the Magicians Guild. However, except for Black Mountain, no one dares to pretend to be a black magician, so ordinary cities do not have that place, stopping a person wearing a black magic robe, even if he doesn't have a badge. Green reminded Zhao Hai this because he was afraid that Zhao Hai didn't know what a black magician was like. If Zhao Hai behaved too gently, he wouldn't be like a black magician and would arouse people's suspicion. Chapter 77 Volume 1 Chapter 77 The Magician Guild. The 3 of them walked slowly towards the city. Sure enough, the defenders in front of the city gate not only did not come forward to stop them, but also saluted them. This also made Zhao Hai understand that in this world, as long as if you have strength, you are the master. Several people entered the city gate, and Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment by the sight in front of him. This was a large road nearly 10 meters wide. The whole road was full of pedestrians, and it was very lively. There were also people on the roadside. There are some small vendors setting up stalls there. Obviously there is no urban management here. Everyone is shouting hard there. From time to time, pedestrians stop to buy things, which makes it very lively. There are many shops on both sides, and those small stalls are placed in front of the shops, and the doors of the shops are opened, making it even more lively. There are many types of pedestrians on the street. Most of them are ordinary people wearing ordinary linen clothes. There are a small number of samurai wearing leather helmets or samurai uniforms. It is almost impossible to see anyone wearing magic robes walking on the street. At this moment, a voice came. "Dear Mr. Magician, do you want to hire a car? My car is comfortable and cheap, and I have grown up in Casa City since I was a child. I am very familiar with the people in Casa City. We know every street and can take you wherever you want to go." Zhao Hai and the others followed the sound and saw a man dressed as a coachman standing 5 steps away to their left. He stood there with a bow. Behind him, there was a carriage parked. This carriage was very big, pulled by a tall red horse. The entire carriage was painted black with very beautiful patterns on it. Zhao Hai didn't recognize it, but Green did. Although the horse pulling the cart looked good, it was just an ordinary first-level monster, which did not match Zhao Hai's identity. But even if they don't match, there is nothing they can do. They have just arrived in Casa City. They are unfamiliar with the place and don't have much money in their hands. Naturally, they cannot buy a carriage and they cannot use it casually in the city. It's magic and summoning beasts, so the aliens can't be called out. The only way now is to hire a carriage. Green walked up to the driver and said, "What's your name? How much does it cost to hire your driver for a day?" The coachman did not expect that things would go so smoothly. He stopped Zhao Hai and the others just to give it a try. You must know that magicians are generally not short of money, so they rarely hire ordinary carriages like them. Unexpectedly, the other party actually asked him the price. The driver quickly said, "Dear Mr. Magician, my car is very cheap. It only costs 1 silver coin a day. My name is Roke." Green took out a silver coin and threw it to Rock and said, "Hire your carriage for a day." After speaking, he turned to Zhao Hai and said, "Sir, please get in the carriage." Zhao Hai nodded and followed Meg into the vehicle. The carriage was quite large and could accommodate about 6 people. However, Green did not get in the car. Instead, he sat next to the driver and said to Rock, "Send us to the Magicians Guild." This Magicians Guild is not a private organization, but a national organization. Each country has its own independent Magicians Guild. This Magicians Guild is an institution set up by a country specifically for magicians. Its purpose is to provide services for magicians. The Magicians Guild is for serving magicians, not for managing magicians, because the first magicians are the treasures of this country, and their status is the same as that of the nobles, so no one dares to manage them, only provide them with the services they deserve. Every magician registered in the Magician Guild can receive a subsidy of 10 gold coins a month. Of course, not many magicians will take a fancy to this amount of money, so generally no one will take it. However, there are many benefits for magicians registered in the Magician Guild. For example, if you hold a magician badge, you are tax-free. With this badge, you can meet nobles without bowing. This time Green and the others came to Casa City. Firstly, they wanted to show off and attract the attention of those people. Secondly, they wanted to go to the Magicians Guild to register Zhao Hai. Countries in various countries adopt very relaxed policies for the registration of magicians. Generally, they will only conduct some training and then let you show your magic. There is no test or anything like that. As long as you show your magic, you can prove that you are a magician. As a magician, you can register with the Magician Guild. Of course, the registered magicians are also divided into levels. If you just show that you can do magic, then you can only register as the lowest level magician, 10 gold coins per month, tax-free. If you show a high level of strength, you will get more services. Like Zhao Hai, if he has a magician badge and is a high-level magician badge, as soon as he enters the city gate, he will be picked up by the Magician's Guild's car. Everything will be arranged for him, and most of his living expenses will be reimbursed. He will also receive 100 to 1,000 gold coins every month. Of course, if you want to get the senior magician badge, your strength must be at least level 6. It was Green's intention that Zhao Hai register as a magician this time. Only Zhao Hai wore the magician badge, which would be a lot more convenient for them in the future. Moreover, this kind of registration does not need to reveal their identity, which is pleasant. Why? After Green sat in the car, he turned to Rock and said, "Go to the Magician's Guild." Rock responded and drove the carriage straight to the Magician's Guild. The Empire's Magician's Guild is a very special existence. They are directly allocated from the national finance and specifically serve magicians. However, there are rarely magicians who come to the guild because every magician has his or her own job. In the Empire, magician is a very popular profession. Even if you are only a first-level magician, many people will line up to hire you. Therefore, for ordinary magicians, no one will come to the guild at all. The only exception might be the black magician. Because black magicians have a very special style of doing things, most nobles don't like to hire black magicians. Only some businessmen will ask black magicians to be their guests, and most black magicians usually become mercenaries or mercenaries. They are adventurers, and they are still very popular among mercenaries. But compared with other magicians, the life of a black magician is the most difficult and of the lowest quality. If other magicians are nobles, then the black magician is a commoner. There are many black magicians who can only survive on the 10 gold coins issued by the Magician's Guild every month. You know, learning magic is also a very expensive thing. You have to buy magic materials and magic wands. You have to buy magic crystals, eat, drink, and all of this costs money. The Magician's Guild in Casa City is quite impressive. It is only 2 blocks away from the main street. It is a palace-style 3-story building covering an area of nearly 1,000 square meters. This is not small in Casa City. Above the main entrance of the guild, there is a 6-pointed star badge representing magicians. This 6-pointed star pattern represents the 6 basic natural elements in nature: light, dark, wind, water, fire, and earth. It is also the symbol of all magician guilds. Logo. Rock stopped the carriage, Green jumped off the carriage and opened the door. Zhao Hai and Meg got out of the car, took a look at the house, and walked slowly inside. The 3 of them had just taken 2 steps when they saw a fat man walking out of the guild quickly. This man was wearing a servant uniform, but the fabric of the clothing was made of fine silk, which was similar to the style of the clothing. It was very inconsistent, and with his fat figure, he looked like a nobleman, not a servant. The fat man walked quickly to Zhao Hai's roots, bowed to Zhao Hai and said, "Dear Mr. Magician, your servant Carl is at your service." This made Zhao Hai stunned. He didn't know that all the people in the Magician's Guild would call themselves servants when they saw a magician, and this Carl was the head of the Magician's Guild in Casa City. However, Zhao Hai still remembered Green's instructions and just snorted lightly before walking into the guild. The first floor of the guild is obviously a resting place. It is divided into 2 areas. One area has sofas and coffee tables, and the other area has several dining tables. This is also the rule of the Magician's Guild. Every Magician's Guild has such a decoration. Magicians who have registered with the Magician's Guild can rest and eat here for free. Zhao Hai walked to the rest area, found a sofa and sat down. Fatty Carl followed closely behind the 3 of them. When he saw Zhao Hai sitting down, he immediately waved to a few people dressed as servants standing next to him. After waving his hand, someone immediately turned around and ran to the kitchen, taking out a pot of kaya and a few cups. Putting down the cup, Carl personally poured a cup of kaya for Zhao Hai, then stood there with a bow and said, "Dear Mr. Magician, what can I do to help you?" Zhao Hai didn't touch the cup of kaya, he just sat there and waved his hand. Green immediately said, "Mr. Carl, our husband is here to register today. Please help Mr. Carl. Carl said quickly, "It is my honor to serve Mr. Magician. Sir, please come to the back with me. There are some registration procedures. I hope you can cooperate." Zhao Hai nodded lightly, stood up, and walked to the back of the hall in the direction directed by Carl. Carl walked in front of Zhao Hai, guiding him. What Green and the others didn't see was that Carl's eyes flashed from time to time, and it was obvious that he was not a simple person. What Green and the others didn't know was that in addition to being the head of the Magicians Guild, this Carl was also an intelligence chief of the Principality of Versailles. In fact, he knew Zhao Hai's identity the moment Zhao Hai entered Casa City, and it was precisely because he knew that he went out to greet Zhao Hai in person. He wanted to feel Zhao Hai's bottom. Under normal circumstances, he did not need to receive the magician who came to register in person. Chapter 78 Volume 1 Chapter 78 Unusual performance. Behind the Magicians Guild building is a large open space, paved with bluestone slabs. This space is almost 100 meters long and wide. Between 50 meters and 100 meters away, every 10 meters there is something like a target, which is used to test magic. All magicians who register with the Magicians Guild must go through this procedure and cast a spell here to prove that you are a magician. It also makes it easier for the Magicians Guild to rate you. After several people arrived at the edge of the field, Carl turned to Zhao Hai and said, "Dear Mr. Magician, please use a magic. Any magic will do. If you want to get a more advanced magician badge, use some advanced magician badges. Magic, please." After saying that, Carl stood aside and looked at Zhao Hai quietly. No one knows that although Carl does not know magic, he has a certain understanding of magic because of his long-term contact with magicians, and he is also very sensitive to magic power. As long as the magician uses magic, he can determine the level of this magician, and his judgment will be correct 8 times out of 10. The reason why Carl has such judgment is closely related to his decades of working in the Magicians Guild. During these decades of work, Carl has slowly developed a set of rules for judging the level of magicians. In other words, compared with the magician's control over his own magic, the time it takes to use magic, his proficiency in reciting spells, etc., these can all reflect the level of a magician from one aspect. There are many magicians. Although their levels are not low, their combat effectiveness is not proportional to their levels. These magicians have not experienced too many battles. When fighting, their response capabilities are insufficient. This has never been the case. It can be judged by the time they use magic and the control they have over magic. It is precisely because of this superb judgment that Carl sits on the throne of the head of the Magician Guild of the Principality of Versailles. You must know that in a big country like the Aksu Empire, the person in charge of their Magician Guild is usually performed by a high-level magician. When Zhao Hai entered Casa City, Carl had already received the news. When he knew that Zhao Hai was coming to the Magicians Guild to register, Carl immediately decided that he would receive Zhao Hai in person. He wanted to see what Zhao Hai was like. What level is it? It has to be admitted that people on the mainland are instinctively repelled and wary of black magicians, and the same goes for the Versailles family. However, the news obtained from the Magical family proves that Zhao Hai is very powerful in combat, which also makes the Versailles family have to pay attention. You must know that a magician, no matter what line of magician he is, as long as he is if the level is high enough and the ability is strong enough, it will be reused by a family, because a high-level magician is equivalent to the existence of a nuclear weapon. You may not necessarily use this weapon. Its main use is or deter the enemy. If other famous magicians on the mainland come to the Principality of Versailles, the Versailles family will definitely receive them warmly. Even if they cannot bring that magician into the family, they will still have a funny relationship with that magician. But towards Zhao Hai, the Versailles family has adopted a very calm attitude. They will not take the initiative to approach Zhao Hai, nor will they offend Zhao Hai. Even if Zhao Hai is very powerful, they will not without finding out the details of Zhao Hai, he went to contact him. Big families have a principle in employing people. They put ability second and loyalty first. There are many talented people in this world, but there are very few loyal people. The stronger your ability, but if you are always rebellious, no one would dare to use you. This is the case with the Versailles family. Even if you are an 8th level magician, as long as you are not loyal enough, they will not use you. They would rather find 2 people. A loyal 7th level magician does not want a disloyal 8th level magician. Zhao Hai's identity is still a secret, and his details have not been found out. He seems to have suddenly jumped out of a stone, which makes the Versailles family feel a little discouraged even if they want to win over him. The Versailles family is now developing very well and very steadily. Although Zhao Hai's strength, joining the Versailles family will bring new development to their family, Zhao Hai's mysterious life experience has always been a worry for the Versailles family. The Versailles family likes Zhao Hai's strength, but they are also afraid that Zhao Hai will become a destabilizing factor in the Versailles family. The old big families like the Versailles family who have established their own principality will not like to take risks, especially the unstable factors, which are not what they like, so they deal with Zhao Hai's problem by taking it as a cold treatment method. Although Zhao Hai needs to be treated coldly, attention is necessary. After all, Zhao Hai is already in Casa City. If he really causes something, the Versailles family will not look good. Zhao Hai didn't think so much. Now he is really short of money. As soon as he registered with the Magician Guild, he had an income of 10 gold coins. This income may not be much to other magicians, but for Zhao Hai it is very important to say that now the total gold coins of the entire Buddha family are less than 50 gold coins, which is equivalent to giving him 1/5 more property. Of course, Zhao Hai has never thought about letting others know how strong he is so that he can get a high-level magician's badge. Zhao Hai can do this now. As long as he collects the undead creatures he is if they were all released, he could get the badge of a high-level magician, but that would be too high profile and not in line with Zhao Hai's character. Zhao Hai didn't waste any words. He didn't know how to recite a spell. He just held the magic wand and paused underground for a moment. The alien appeared next to him. Zhao Hai didn't summon too many undead creatures. Anyway, he just wanted to prove that he knew magic. Although he only used pseudo-magic, I believe no one in the world could see it. With the appearance of the alien, Carl's eyes widened. He has worked in the Magicians Guild for decades and has seen countless magicians use magic. Some of those magics are gorgeous, some are ugly, and some are time-consuming. Long, some time is short, but like Zhao Hai, the time is so short, but almost none. Just pause the magic wand and the magic is considered completed? Isn't this too exaggerated? Zhao Hai gently touched the alien with his hand, but the alien was like a puppy that had been touched by its owner, wagging its tail wildly, and almost hitting Carl, who was so scared that Carl quickly took a few steps away. When Zhao Hai saw the situation, he didn't say anything and put the alien away again. However, Carl was still a little unable to react. Green then asked, "Did our husband pass the test?" Carl came back to his senses and said quickly, "Passed, respected Mr. Magician, please come this way." After saying that, he led Zhao Hai and the others back to the rest area in front. Zhao Hai and the others sat in the rest area. Carl immediately confessed, turned around and ran away. After a while, he took out a form, put it on the table in front of Zhao Hai and said to Zhao Hai, "Dear Mr. Magician, this is a form. As long as you fill in this form, all the procedures will be completed, please." Zhao Hai took the form and looked at it carefully. He found that the form was very simple, with only some basic fill-in-the-blank items such as name, age, gender, etc. Zhao Hai nodded and threw the form to Meg. Meg also understood what Zhao Hai meant and picked up the pen Carl prepared for them on the table and filled it out. Carl watched Zhao Hai's performance from the side, but he was complaining in his heart. It didn't mean that magicians had to fill in the forms themselves, but that most of the magicians who came to register would fill in the forms themselves. This is a kind of resistance to magic. The Masters Guild shows respect. After all, the Magicians Guild is also a national organization. Even those magicians who don't have much use for this guild will still show a little respect. After all, the guild represents the country. Carl wants Zhao Hai to fill out the form by himself because he wants to collect more information about Zhao Hai. You must know that there are now special handwriting appraisers on the mainland who collect various handwritings and then pass the handwriting. Looking for someone is now possible on the mainland. Carl just wanted Zhao Hai to fill in the form himself, and then send the form to the Versailles family to see if it was possible to find out clues to Zhao Hai's identity through the handwriting. But he didn't expect that Zhao Hai was not going to fill it out himself, but asked Meg to fill it out, which made his plan fail for once. This also made Carl's wariness against Zhao Hai rise to the highest level. In Carl's view, everything Zhao Hai did was intentional in order to conceal his identity. Such people are even more dangerous. Carl also saw that Zhao Hai was not old and he gave Zhao Hai the best abomination, but Zhao Hai did not move a word. So far, Zhao Hai has not made a sound, which made Carl feel even more Zhao Hai must be hiding something. In fact, from the first time he met Zhao Hai, Carl had been observing and testing him. He was observing Zhao Hai's attitude towards people, and found that Zhao Hai might be an orthodox noble. He gave Zhao Hai some gifts. Yet, I just wanted to see what Zhao Hai looked like, but it turned out that Zhao Hai didn't touch the cup of koya at all. His plan was to drop off the guest. Zhao Hai didn't speak, so that he couldn't hear Zhao Hai's voice. There was no way to making other judgments. Plus filling out the form now, all these together gave Carl a very deep impression of Zhao Hai. He felt that Zhao Hai must be a famous person on the mainland, but his reputation must not be good, so he concealed his identity as much as possible. But what is Zhao Hai's true identity? Carl really couldn't think of it. Chapter 79 Volume 1 Chapter 79 Poison. Zhao Hai looked at the badge in his hand. This was not an ordinary low-level magician badge, but an intermediate magician badge. This badge was handed over to him by Carl himself. Likewise, it was handed over to him. There are still 100 gold coins in hand. Zhao Hai and Green did not expect that Carl would give them such a high rating. You must know that Zhao Hai only summoned aliens without using any magic, and they were originally looking for the badges of low-level magicians. Yes, I never thought about getting the intermediate magician badge. But no matter what, these 100 gold coins solved their urgent need, and they finally had more than 100 gold coins in their hands. But these more than 100 gold coins, for them, can only make their hands looser and will not play a big role in the development of the Buddha family. Green has already put away the gold coins. To be honest, Green feels a little confident now. These 100 gold coins will not allow the Buddha family to develop, but it will allow them to survive until Laura returns to Casa City. The three of them walked to the carriage outside. Green looked at the sky, turned to Zhao Hai and said, "Sir, let's go have something to eat and go to the store of Magidal Trading Company." Although Magidal Trading Company mainly deals in various daily necessities, it also has a lot of involvement in the restaurant and hotel industry. However, unlike their other stores that buy daily necessities, the stores where they buy daily necessities generally sell mid to low-end products. But their restaurants and hotels are on the high-end route. You can't even think of having a meal there with just a few gold coins. You have to know that a gold coin is enough for an ordinary civilian family to live. It's been over a month. Zhao Hai nodded and got into the car without making a sound. This was also what Green and the others ordered, asking him to try not to make any noise after arriving in Casa City. Rock drove the car and quickly arrived in front of a restaurant. This restaurant is considered a very high-end place in Casa City. It is one level higher than the Magician's Guild. A 4-story building is no longer counted here. Shorter. As soon as the carriage stopped, a man wearing leather armor came over. The leather armor on this man was very gorgeous, even more beautiful than the one Green bought. The outside of the leather armor was painted with a layer of blue, reflective paint, which makes him look shiny, and the outfit is a security guard uniform at the Magidal restaurant. The man walked up to the carriage, bowed slightly, and said, "Dear sir, carriages like this are not allowed to stay here. Please come with me here." Green ignored him, but ran out of the carriage, opened the door, invited Zhao Hai and Meg out, and the three of them walked into the restaurant, asking Rock to follow the security guard to park the car. The three of them walked to the door of the restaurant and were immediately greeted by two beautiful girls wearing waiter clothes. They bowed to Zhao Hai and said, "Welcome to our restaurant, dear Mr. Magician, do you have a reservation?" Zhao Hai didn't say anything, but Green took out a gold medal and handed it over. One of the two girls took the gold medal, looked at it carefully, and then returned the gold medal to Green. They both bowed at the same time and said, "What do you need, distinguished guest?" Green immediately said, "Arrange a room, we are here to dine." The two girls responded and led Green into the store. The room that the two girls arranged for them is on the 3rd floor. There are not many rooms on the 3rd floor and each room looks very small. Zhao Hai and the others are just here to have a meal, so that those people know that they are here. So I didn't pick anything, just found a room and went in. Green didn't ask for anything too good. He casually ordered 2 dishes and a soup, and that was it. Green calculated that even the things he wanted cost about 10 gold coins, and if these things were, if you make it yourself, the material cost will probably not exceed 1 gold coin, which is a huge profit. After ordering, the waiter immediately brought a pot of koya, but Zhao Hai did not move. He waited until all the dishes were served. Green closed the door, and Zhao Hai took off his hat and let out a sigh of relief. Said, "It suffocates me to death. If I wear these clothes all the time, it will really kill people." Green said with a smile, "It's really uncomfortable. I can't speak or eat. It's really difficult for you." Zhao Hai smiled and said, "But it's worth it. Anyway, I got 100 gold coins for free today. By the way, Grandpa Green, let's go buy some meat later and improve the lives of those slaves." Green smiled and said, "It's better not to worry. Although we have more than 100 gold coins in our hands, we still don't know when Laura will come back. If she doesn't come back, the things in our hands will not be turned into money. The money, it's better to use it sparingly." Zhao Hai nodded helplessly. He found out that this was really the case. He had just gotten these 100 gold coins for free. He was a little too excited. If these 100 gold coins were really spent, in Casa place like the city would probably run out of money in less than an hour. At this time, Meg poured Zhao Hai a glass of koya, put it in front of Zhao Hai and said, "Master, have a drink of koya." Zhao Hai nodded, took the cup and said, "You guys should drink some too." Meg poured another glass for Green. Zhao Hai then picked up the cup and took a sip. But as soon as he took the sip of koya, a prompt sound came from the space. Toxic substances have been found to have entered the host. Turn on the protection. The host program extracts toxins and analyzes the toxins. The toxins are chronic neurotoxins that seriously damage the human nervous system. The estimated onset time is 3 hours later. The antidote is made. The antidote is completed and added to the space water. The toxins strengthen the attack power of robot-like objects. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, and then immediately put down the cup in his hand. When he saw that Green had just picked up the cup to drink, Zhao Hai immediately said, "Stop, Grandpa Green, the kaya in this cup is poisonous." Green was stunned for a moment, then his expression changed and he immediately put the cup on the table. Then he quickly walked to the door, opened the door and took a look outside. He found no one, so he closed the door and returned to the table. "Zhao Haidao, Master, is this yali really poisonous?" Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Well, it's a chronic poison, but you don't have to worry, Grandpa Green. Space water can detoxify this poison. Don't worry." Green nodded, and then frowned and said, "Who would want to deal with us? Could it be someone from the Magical Trading Company? If they are not from their trading firm, it is impossible for others to be in the key area of their store. Poisoned, but why do they want to deal with us?" Zhao Hai also frowned. Today's poisoning is really a bit strange. Normally, the Magical family has no reason to deal with them. They have also helped the Magical family, but if it's not the Magical family, who would it be? Woolen cloth? Meg suddenly said, "Master, Grandpa, didn't we say before that the attack on the Magical family this time might be due to conflicts within their family? Did you say that the poisoning this time was also for this reason?" Zhao Hai and Green were both stunned. They really didn't think of this just now. It seems that this is really the case. Green nodded and said, "It is very possible that the gold medal we took out will be good for the Kidder family. It must be a very important thing, otherwise Laura would not use it to thank us for saving our lives. Generally, the person in charge of the store will come out to meet customers who bring such important things. But until now, the person in charge of this store has not shown up, so there must be something wrong with it." Zhao Hai frowned and said, "It seems that this time in the internal struggle of the Magical family, Laura and the others have been at a disadvantage, and they have been being plotted by others. They first told the news to the undead mercenary group in order to make the undead mercenary group after destroying Laura, and then sending people over to take over Laura and the others. I think the real ones in this store now are no longer Laura and the others. I'm afraid they have already been replaced." Green nodded and said, "Master, I think we'd better not eat and leave immediately." Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, "Eat? Why don't you eat? The food has been served anyway. I really want to see if they have poisoned the food. If they really dare to do that, I will do it today. Burn this store down." Zhao Hai got angry today. Although he is an otaku with little courage, and he seems to keep a low profile when he comes to Arc Continent, this does not mean that he is not angry. He actually calculated against him like this. The clay figurines are still earthy, not to mention Zhao Hai's temper is not necessarily much better. Honest people do not mean they have no temper. If they make an honest person angry, they will do anything. Zhao Hai is an honest person, but don't make him angry. If an enemy was plotting against Zhao Hai wouldn't be so angry. If your enemy doesn't plot against you, is he still called an enemy? What Zhao Hai was angry about was that he should not be involved in the internal fighting of the Magical family. Although they are still not sure that this poisoning incident must be caused by the infighting of the Magical family, Zhao Hai has already determined that it was the fault of the Magical family. Then how could he not be angry? "You said you were fighting among yourself. What does it have to do with me? I just happened to pass by and beg for Laura's life. It was because I took a fancy to the undead mercenary group and wanted to take it under my wing. What does this have to do with you if you use your only skills? Are you going too far just because you want to poison me?" Zhao Hai thought to himself. While thinking about him, he picked up the knife and fork and took a bite of the food. To be honest, the food tasted really good and it was not poisonous. Zhao Hai also told Green and the others that the food was not poisonous, and the three of them started to eat it. However, to be safe, Zhao Hai still took out a pot of water from the space. This water can detoxify. If you drink this water while eating, you will not be afraid of poisoning. Chapter 80 Volume 1 Chapter 80 Upgrading Undead Creatures. After eating and drinking, Green and the others paid the bill and left. When checking out, Green paid special attention to the attitude of the waiter in the restaurant. Green wanted to see some clues from the faces of these waiters. If these waiters knew about the poisoning incident, they would definitely reveal their flaws. But Green was disappointed. The waiters behaved very calmly and couldn't see anything wrong. Even when Green tipped them, they behaved quite well. Green didn't see anything and he wasn't too disappointed. After leaving the restaurant with Zhao Hai, he immediately walked out of the city. They had already finished their business in the city, and there was no point in staying in the city. But the most important thing is that Green and the others want to fish. Green and the others believe that the person who poisoned them will come to see the result. You must know that poisoning a black magician is a very dangerous thing in itself, because black magicians are generally masters of poison, and ordinary poisons have no effect on them. It is precisely because of this that Green and the others believe that the other party will definitely come to see if they have been poisoned. If they are in the city, there is no way to do anything. In a big city like Casa City, if you are casual in the city, if we take action, it will arouse the dissatisfaction of the Versailles family, and they may intervene. Green and the others don't want to conflict with the Versailles family yet, but they will not let go of anyone who dares to poison them. After leaving the city, Zhao Hai and the others immediately released the aliens as if they were rushing to Rock Mountain. Now they had been with Dufo for less than 2 hours. Zhao Hai has been calculating the time very carefully while controlling the speed of the alien, so that after the alien enters the mountainous area, it will pretend to be poisoned. Zhao Hai and the others have not found any enemies following them so far, but Green knows that someone must be following them. Those dead soldiers trained by families or big forces are not so easy to be discovered. When Zhao Hai and the others came out of Casa City, it was already past 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In more than 2 hours, it was almost past 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is spring now, and the sky does not get dark as early as in winter. 4 days most of the time, the sky is still very bright, and it's never too late to do anything. This is exactly the time Zhao Hai left for those people. Although it was said that it was more advantageous for Zhao Hai and the others when it got dark, the poison did not give them that long time, so Zhao Hai and the others decided to go to the mountainous area to do it, so that they would not be noticed by others. Zhao Hai's actions were no different from when they came here. In the eyes of others, Zhao Hai and the others just went to Casa City, registered as magicians, and then came out of Casa City, hoping to catch up before dark. When I got home, there was nothing wrong. 2 hours is very boring for people who are on the road, but fortunately Zhao Hai and the others are used to it these days. They have been on the road these days, and this time they still have things to do, so they don't feel the 2 hours. What's so sad about this hour? Zhao Hai calculated the time and felt that it was almost done. He turned to Green and said, "Grandpa Green, it's almost done." Green looked at the surrounding environment and found that they were now in the mountains. Although a road had been built here, the road was obviously not many people left, especially at this time. It was almost dark, and Casa City closed the city gate at 6 o'clock in the evening. At this time, no one was rushing to Casa City, and it was too late to get there. "It's time to enter the city." Green nodded and said, "Okay, let's do it." Zhao Hai nodded, controlled the alien to slow down little by little, and then put the alien away all at once. Several people fell to the ground motionless, as if fainted. The 3 of them had been lying on the ground for more than half an hour, but there had been no movement. However, Zhao Hai and the others had already thought of this, so the 3 of them did not move and just lay there quietly. Fortunately, it wasn't cold at this time, and the place where they lay was covered with weeds, so they wouldn't feel cold. However, just lying like this was really uncomfortable. The 3 of them lay on the ground for more than an hour. Just when they could no longer hold on, there was finally movement. Green heard a slight sound of footsteps coming towards them. Although Zhao Hai does not have as good hearing as Green, he can still use the monitor in the space farm. Zhao Hai has long discovered that after he leaves the space, he can still use the monitor in the space. Just like before, appeared in front of him in the form of a projection, and since his level rose to level 6, the monitoring range of the monitor has increased by 10 meters. This 10 meters does not mean an increase of 10 square meters, but that the diameter he can monitor has increased by 10 meters. In this way, the range that Zhao Hai can monitor is greatly increased. At this time, Zhao Hai discovered that on the screen someone is approaching them. Normally, when a person walks about 50 meters away from him, he should be able to hear footsteps, but Zhao Hai did not hear any sound. If there were not monitors, Zhao Hai would not have noticed that anyone was approaching. Controlling the monitor, he clicked on the slowly approaching green dot, and a figure immediately appeared next to Zhao Hai and the others. This person is very thin, wearing black clothes with long hands and long legs. He walks cautiously. He carries a black thin sword behind his back. He has a long small nose and small eyes. When he sees this image, Zhao Hai couldn't help but think of a person, Shikayan. The flea on the drum and water margin is Shikayan. According to what is written in the water margin book, this man's appearance fits the image of Shikayan very well. If he were to play Shikayan on Earth, he would not need to wear makeup. This man was also very careful. He stopped when he was about 20 meters away from Zhao Hai and the others, and then took out several cross darts from his body and threw them directly at Zhao Hai and the others. Zhao Hai couldn't help but cursed secretly, "This guy is really careful. The three of them have been lying here for more than an hour and he is still so careful." At this moment, Zhao Hai suddenly summoned Zhao Zui and stood in front of him. It was naturally impossible for him to be hit by those cross darts. Just when Zhao Hai summoned Zhao Zui, Green also moved. He was an 8th level senior warrior and it was very easy to deal with a dead soldier. Green's body flashed with yellow light and he rushed towards the man, and a blue shield suddenly appeared around Meg, covering Zhao Hai and Zhao Zui in the middle. Of course, it was impossible for those cross darts to break through Meg's shield. When Zhao Zui appeared, that man already knew that he had been tricked and was about to retreat. But unfortunately he didn't have that chance. Green's strength was much stronger than that of Meg. He was even stronger than he imagined. With this pounce, he was within a distance of 20 meters, and he couldn't run even if he wanted to. The man arrived naked and didn't run away at all. He just stared at Green, then opened his mouth, spat out a mouthful of black blood, and fell to the ground dead. Zhao Hai also stood up at this time and happened to see the scene. He really didn't expect that it would be so cruel. As soon as he found that he couldn't run, he committed suicide immediately. I think this person was like someone on TV. There was poison in his mouth. Green did not expect that the other party actually committed suicide directly. It was impossible to ask anything now. Green stopped next to the man's body and looked at the body. There was nothing special about this man and he did not belong to any force on the ground. It was impossible to find the person behind him. Zhao Hai also walked to the man's side, glanced at the man's darkened face, then turned to look around, then turned to Zhao Zui, and said, "Zhao Zui, if you turn this guy into an undead creature, can you?" "What are you asking about?" Zhao Zui shook his head and said, "No, young master, I am an undead creature now, so I can only create some low-level undead creatures, but I cannot make high-level undead creatures. Even if I turn him into an undead creature, I will not be able to make high-level undead creatures. It's just a low-level undead creature that doesn't understand anything, and it's impossible to answer questions." Zhao Hai glanced at the corpse, gritted his teeth and said, "Turn him into an undead creature. Don't waste it. If you dare to deal with us, you must have this consciousness." Zhao Zui responded, whispered a few spells, and a mass of black energy floated out from his body and landed on the man. When the black energy disappeared, only a pale skeleton was left on the ground, but the clothes on the man's body did not disappear, and the thin sword also on the back. Zhao Hai didn't look at the man, so he directly received the man and Zhao Zui into the space. However, he didn't expect that as soon as the man was received into the space, the prompt sound from the space immediately came: low-level robot physical objects, upgrades, strengthen their own abilities, and strengthen their toxins. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, then his face lit up and he immediately summoned the man out. Otherwise, the man's pale skeleton had turned into dark green, just like Zhao Zui and the others. Zhao Hai said happily, "Okay, can you understand what I'm saying?" The man nodded. Zhao Hai was overjoyed and asked quickly, "What's your name? Which force do you belong to?" The man shook his head and continued, "Master, I am your loyal servant." Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, and then asked a few more questions, but the man still just said this. Zhao Hai finally understood that this guy didn't know anything about his past. Zhao Hai smiled bitterly, thinking that after this guy upgraded, he could tell him something useful, but it seemed that it was all in vain. But Zhao Hai still said, "What abilities do you have?" The man continued, "Master, I can assassinate, use darts, swordsmanship, and fighting spirit." Zhao Hai understood that this guy was a low-level undead creature created by Zhao Zui. Naturally, he could not remember the past, and the space upgraded him just like those undead creatures that naturally upgraded. He was a dead soldier before. After upgrading, you will still use the abilities of a dead soldier. Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Okay, then you can call me young master from now on. From today on, you will be called Zhao Qian." After saying that, he took the man back into the space. Chapter 81 Volume 1 Chapter 81 Buying seeds. When Zhao Hai was talking to Zhao Qian, Green and Meg kept watching. They didn't understand what was going on. It wasn't until Zhao Hai put Zhao Qian away that Green said, "Master, this is what happened." Zhao Hai smiled bitterly and said, "I asked Zhao Zui to turn the guy just now into an undead creature." Unexpectedly, after receiving the space actually upgraded the low-level undead creature, which improved his combat effectiveness. But I can't remember what happened before, so we still haven't gotten any information. Green nodded and said, "Forget it if you can't get it. I think since those guys dealt with us once, they will definitely do it next time." We will definitely be able to find clues in the future. By the way, young master, wait until Laura comes back this time. Now that we have finished talking about cooperation, why don't we also tell her about today's events and ask her to help her check it out? Zhao Hai nodded and said, I want her to investigate carefully. This is not only related to us, but also related to herself. Okay, let's go back. After that, he called the alien out again and went to walk up the rocky mountain. When it was completely dark, Zhao Hai and the others returned to Rock Mountain. However, this time Zhao Hai was not going to Casa City. He was going to wait for Laura at Rock Mountain and wait for Laura to come back. Afterwards, after discussing the cooperation with her, they set off back to the Black Earth Wasteland. To be honest, Zhao Hai is really not used to life outside now. He used to live in China, and China is one of the safest countries in the world. But here, he is not safe at all. Today he is just after going out for a while, he was poisoned. If there was no space, he would have been poisoned to death. This made Zhao Hai feel that this world is very dangerous. Since returning from Casa City, the people who were monitoring the Rock Mountain have relaxed because the Rock Mountain was covered by a layer of black mist. This time, the black mist covered not only the Blue Stone Mountain but the entire Rock Mountain. It was covered, and now those who were monitoring Rock Mountain could not see clearly what was on the mountain, so naturally no one dared to go up the mountain. When the black mist didn't cover the entire mountain, those people noticed that there were many undead creatures guarding the mountain. Now that it was covered by the black mist, they didn't even dare to go up. God knows how many undead creatures were in the black mist. Undead creatures, if you go up there, you will die. Few people still know about the fact that Zhao Hai and the others were poisoned, but Zhao Hai and the others suddenly lowered their profile, which still made the people in Casa City feel nervous. All the forces watching Zhao Hai and the others in Casa City are not afraid of Zhao Hai and the others. Just go ahead and have fun. The more fun you have, the more things will be exposed. On the contrary, those people are not worried at all. But like now, Zhao Hai and the others suddenly became more honest. They refused to go out or take 2 steps. Those people were worried. They didn't know what Zhao Hai and the others were trying to do, and Zhao Hai and the others didn't move. It would be impossible for those people to discover more things about Zhao Hai and the others, which in turn made those people nervous. Those people were nervous, but Zhao Hai and the others were not nervous at all. Now they were tossing around on the rocky mountain. There was nothing useful on the mountain, but there were plenty of stones. Zhao Hai asked the undead creatures to collect the stones. These stones, part of it was used to make mills and millstones, and the other part was taken back to the Black Soil Wasteland to build the castle. Now there is a shortage of everything in the Black Soil Wasteland. Although it guards a mountain range, the mountain range has been dug out by the dwarves. They do not dare to quarry stones at will. Now that they have encountered such a good place, Zhao Hai and the others that would be polite. They were struggling here in the Rock Mountain, but the people outside were watching them. But those who were watching them relaxed. Zhao Hai and the others did not go down the mountain at all, and those people did not need to look at anything, as long as they stared at that place every day. Just stay in a daze of black mist. It's not like Zhao Hai did nothing. He asked Green to change out of his shining armor, called Ran, and went to Casa City. This time Green went to Casa City not for any important matters, but to buy seeds. Zhao Hai needed all the seeds on the mainland. He wanted to see if any of these seeds could be used. If you use the seeds, the space may be upgraded. Green put on his warrior uniform and rushed to Casa City as it was getting dark. He also knew that he would not be able to enter the city when it was dark, but that didn't matter. He couldn't reach Casa City in one night anyway. Although Green is an 8th level warrior with a strong fighting spirit, he is still alone after all. During the 2-day journey, the alien can move forward at a fast and even speed. He cannot, he needs to rest. After driving for half the night, Green changed places to have a good rest. The next morning, he ate some dry food and continued on his way. With Green's skills, he spent another whole day, and when it was getting dark, when we arrived at Casa City, fortunately, the gates of Casa City were not closed yet. Green is now wearing a warrior uniform, dressed like an ordinary adventurer. There are too many such adventurers entering Casa City every day, so the city defense army doesn't pay attention at all. Green also paid the city entry tax and entered the city in a polite manner, and then found a small hotel and stayed there. Every day, many adventurers enter Casa City. They have either completed tasks or are looking for food. Therefore, Green dressed up as ordinary adventurers and entered Casa City without even a splash. Even the Versailles family can't observe every adventurer who comes into the city every day. After all, Casa City has a population of more than 1 million, and the floating population is counted in the hundreds of thousands. Big city. After driving for a day, Green felt very tired. He had a good night's rest in the hotel. He had a simple breakfast the next morning and went to the seed company in Casa City. Casa City is a big city, but there are not many sales of farm tools here. Like other capitals, there are not many people farming here, so there are very few sales of farm tools and seeds. Oh, Green searched for a long time in Casa City before he found a grocery store to buy seeds. Fortunately, this store had a full range of seeds, including all kinds of seeds. This saved Green a lot of time. There are not many seeds for various crops on the mainland. Among them, there are only more than a dozen commonly used seeds for ordinary seeds. Among them, there is no need to buy seeds of oil fruit trees and alfalfa. As for the seeds of magic vegetables, there are 3 types of seeds on the mainland. There are more than 10 kinds, among which only magic radish, which is the seed of radish, Green does not need to be bought. Counting this way, Green has less than 50 kinds of seeds to buy in total, and among these 50 kinds of crop seeds, the seeds of ordinary crops are not expensive, and they are quite cheap. You can buy a pound of them for a few copper coins, while the magic seeds vegetable seeds are very expensive, usually costing a few silver coins or even more than 10 silver coins per pound. For these seeds, Green is not prepared to buy more. 1 pound is enough. If he were not afraid of others becoming suspicious, he would not buy even 1 pound. Zhao Hai told him when he came that there is no need to have too many seeds, even if it is only one, as long as it is a good seed and it only needs to be planted in the space. There were nearly 50 kinds of seeds in total, and the first one weighed almost 50 kilograms. Green did not have space equipment to hold these seeds, so he had to carry them on his own. Fortunately, Green was so skilled that he didn't care about the weight at all. After buying the seeds, he bought some application tools and left Casa City. Green kept walking all day long. When it got dark, he stopped. After a brief rest for 2 hours, he headed towards the Rock Mountain again. Green did not return to Rock Mountain until the second half of the night. This was also the time when those who monitored Rock Mountain were most relaxed. In the eyes of those people, Zhao Hai and the others would not act at night at all, so they had many people took a break directly. This also gave Green an opportunity. Green easily sneaked into the Bluestone Villa, but now that everyone in the villa had rested, Green did not disturb them and went directly to find a place to sleep. Now, this is just Green. It is impossible for others to enter Bluestone Villa so easily. Zhao Hai released hundreds of undead creatures in Stone Mountain, and also released Zhao Zui and others. They watched from the Rocky Mountain. If it wasn't Green, but someone else wanted to sneak into the Bluestone Villa, they would be discovered soon. At that time, Zhao Zui and the others would lead the undead creatures to attack. Green didn't get up very early the next morning. He was exhausted from running around in the past 2 days. Even if he had fighting spirit, he felt very tired, so he slept a little longer. Anyway, he had already bought the seeds, so he didn't use it when you were in a hurry. Zhao Hai also knew that Green was back, but he was not in a hurry to find Green. He also knew that Green had worked very hard these 2 days. Zhao Hai knew exactly how far it was from Luanxi Mountain to Casa City. Because of this, he didn't let anyone disturb Green and let Green take a good rest. During this period of time, Zhao Hai also lived a very leisurely life. That is, he went to the space to collect vegetables and plant the fields, and there was nothing else to do. Things like mining stones, making mills and millstones were not of concern to him. Zhao Hai's body is too weak now, and he can't even lift heavy things, let alone do those physical jobs. However, during this period of time, he has made good food for everyone. As the types of dishes in the space increase, those slaves can also change their tastes from time to time, which also makes them more motivated. Chapter 82 Volume 1 Chapter 82 Upgraded to 3 levels in a row. Chapter 82 Upgrading to 3 levels in a row. When it was almost noon, Green woke up, went to the hot spring pool in the room to wash his face briefly, and then went out. The manor is still a busy scene. The undead creatures carry large pieces in from outside the manor from time to time, while and leads the slaves to make mills and millstones there. To say that these 2 things are not that easy to make, especially when the tools are very simple, it takes a lot of time to make a mill or a millstone. In addition, now only In is considered a stonemason, and the other slaves can only be regarded as apprentices. Men naturally do some heavy work, and the female slaves, in addition to doing some cleaning and other tasks, also help with some tasks within their capabilities, such as polishing stones. The entire manor now looks like a large stone processing factory. If outsiders see it, glasses will be broken on the ground. Now Luanxishan has become synonymous with mystery because of Zhao Hai's arrival. Zhao Hai was standing in the yard of the manor. Although he couldn't help much, he still stood there and stayed with everyone. He was not monitoring these people's work, he just wanted to stand there, and at the same time, he wanted to keep those people's stones mined by undead creatures or put into space. After getting along with each other for such a long time, Those slaves already know what kind of person Zhao Hai is. He is easy to talk to. It doesn't matter if you talk and laugh with him. He will not be angry at all. It can be said that they are working. By that time, he had become accustomed to Zhao Hai's presence. This is no wonder for them. The area in the space farm is neither large nor small. Most of the 10 acres of land are occupied by farmland, and these slaves cannot live too far away from water sources. And the water source is not far from Zhao Hai, so those slaves cannot avoid Zhao Hai even if they want to lie down. It is precisely because of this kind of day and night interaction that the slaves let go of the tension in their hearts. Therefore, even if Zhao Hai stands there for a day, the slaves will not feel awkward. They are used to it. At this time, Zhao Hai also saw Green. He came up to him with a smile and said, "Grandpa Green is awake. Didn't he disturb you?" Green shook his head and said, "No, young master, we have brought all the seeds back and they are in the house." Zhao Hai nodded and followed Green into the house. As soon as the two entered the house, they saw the big bag. In addition to some seeds, there were also some tools in the big bag. These tools were all used by masons and were not light. They were green. If they were replaced, it is really impossible for a person to rush back to Rock Mountain in such a short period of time. Green took out the tools first, and then put a large bag of seeds into Zhao Hai's hand. This large bag of seeds contained nearly 50 kilograms of seeds. Zhao Hai could still handle such a weight. Although his current status is inferior to that of ordinary strong men due to the water of nothingness, this weight is still not a problem. Zhao Hai took the seeds and turned to Green and said, "I'm going then." After saying that, he disappeared in front of Green. Green didn't say anything and went out with the tools. As soon as Zhao Hai entered the space, he couldn't wait to open the seed package, and then a series of notification sounds came, which almost made Zhao Hai's head dizzy. Discover new crop seeds, excellent seeds, digitized seeds, seed evaluation, 10th level food crops, susceptible to disasters, improve seeds, replace rice seeds in space, seeds are one-season crops, can be purchased in the space store. Discover new crop seeds. If the seeds are inferior and have no merit, cancel the seeds. Discover new crop seeds, excellent seeds, seed digitization, seed evaluation, 7th level bean crops, high yield, extract advantages, strengthen space bean crops, seeds are one-season crops, can be purchased in space stores. Discover new crop seeds, good seeds, digitize seeds, and evaluate seeds. Zhao Hai responded to a series of prompts well. He quickly entered the thatched house, opened the screen, and clicked a store button. Sure enough, more than 20 new crop seeds appeared in the store, and the one that did not appear was probably stolen. The space has been cancelled. Zhao Hai also discovered that the prompt tone this time was different from the last time. The last prompt tone was very short, but this time it was more auspicious. There are nearly 50 kinds of seeds in total. When Zhao Hai finished looking at the situation in the store, the prompts had not finished yet, but this was no longer important to Zhao Hai. Now Zhao Hai just wanted to know how much the space could be upgraded this time. Sure enough, as soon as the seed notification sound ended, a new notification sound immediately affected. Due to the discovery of new crops, the space has been upgraded. The current space is level 7 and 2 acres of land can be opened. A bag of pea seeds will be rewarded and the land area can be planted to 2 acres. Moo. Due to the discovery of new crops, the space has been upgraded. The current space is level 8. As a reward, a bag of cucumber seeds can be planted and the land area can be 2 acres. Due to the discovery of new crops, the space has been upgraded. The current space is level 9 and 2 acres of land can be opened. A bag of pumpkin seeds will be rewarded and 2 acres of land can be planted. The beep ends here. The seeds brought back by Green this time raised the space by 3 levels to level 9. However, Zhao Hai was not very satisfied. He wanted to use these seeds to upgrade the space to level 10, and then see if they can open a ranch. In that case, they can not only increase their income, but also collect some powerful warcraft into the space, so that his combat effectiveness will also increase. But obviously space doesn't care about that much. The setting of space is that it becomes more difficult to upgrade the further you go, so this time Green brought back so many seeds, and in the end it just upgraded space to 3 levels, unlike before. That way, as long as you bring something into the space can be upgraded. Zhao Hai sighed impatiently and went to the warehouse to take a look. Now the space has reached the 9th level. 4 acres of land can be reclaimed, but these 4 acres of land require money to reclaim, and he now has it in his hands. There were only 600 gold coins, which was not enough money to cultivate 2 acres, let alone 4 acres. But now there are still 4 seasons for the oil fruit trees to reach the 9th season, which means that it will take 8 days before the 10 acres of land can be freed up to grow other things. Now Zhao Hai can only look at what to buy in the space. He lost it in exchange for some gold coins and then reclaimed the 4 acres of land. But there is really nothing to sell for the things in the space. Oil, fruits and corn would be a huge loss if sold. Others, like cabbage, are too small and worthless. At last glance, the only ones that can be sold are radishes. Zhao Hai couldn't help but cursed secretly. Now he only had 3 seasons of radishes in his hand. After selling these 3 seasons of radishes, he only got 1,500 gold coins. Adding the 600 gold coins in his hand, it was only more than 1,000 gold coins. With this amount of gold coins, there is not much left after upgrading the land. But Zhao Hai had no other choice now. He had no choice but to bite the bullet and bought all 3 seasons of radishes at once, and then reclaimed 4 acres of land. To reclaim these 4 acres of land, a total of 1,700 gold coins were needed. Reaching at level 7, it costs 700 gold coins to cultivate 2 acres of land. At level 9, it costs 1,000 gold coins to cultivate 2 acres of land. As a result, Zhao Hai only had 400 gold coins left in his hand, so he took out another 100 gold coins. 50 gold coins bought a bag of radish seeds, but this time he did not plant them all, but only planted 4 acres of newly cultivated land. Originally, he had other seeds that could be used to plant these 4 acres of land, but there is no other way. Now they don't know when Laura will come back. When Laura comes back, they can trade with Laura. It would be a shame if he couldn't bring out the carrot when the time came. But this time, Zhao Hai wanted to save the radish seeds to see if he could save the seeds. If he could, he would not have to buy radish seeds in the store in the future, which would save another money. Sighing, he put away the carrot seeds and Zhao Hai came out of the space. To be honest, he was still very disappointed with this upgrade. It failed to achieve the effect he expected, but he had no choice. See, I can only wait until I buy radishes and find some other unique plants to bring to the space, then I can hope to upgrade the space. Zhao Hai feels that level 10 is a hurdle. As long as you pass level 10, something good will happen in the space. But he doesn't know what kind of things will happen yet, but according to the rules of playing games, after passing this threshold, his reward will definitely be very high. What Zhao Hai hopes most now is to open a ranch and improve his strength as soon as possible, so that he can be able to protect himself. Green was stunned when he saw Zhao Hai coming out of the house glumly and quickly walked over and said, "Master, what's wrong?" Zhao Hai shook his head and smiled bitterly. "It's nothing. It's just that although the space has been upgraded, it has not achieved the effect I wanted. It seems that the seeds of this kind of ordinary crops can no longer play a big role in upgrading the space. In the future, if you want to upgrade, you have to find more advanced plants." Green didn't know much about Zhao Hai's space, but now that he heard Zhao Hai say that the upgrade was successful, he was already very happy, so he quickly said, "Master, does this upgrade add more land?" Zhao Hai nodded and said, "Yes, it has increased by 4 acres, but I also sold the radishes in the space to the space. I used the money to buy the radishes to open the land. Now there is not a single radish in the space. Those 4 acres are gone. I have already planted radishes on the acres of land." Green said with a smile, "It's okay, just open up the land." Although Green has never played a farm game, Zhao Hai has also told him about the farm these days. He also knows that buying seeds in the farm requires space. Those who spend money can get money by selling carrots to space, but the money cannot be used to generate space. In Green's view, money that cannot be used to generate space is not money, so he is not heartbroken. Chapter 83 Volume 1 Chapter 83 Mosquitoes are also meat. Green is not heartbroken, but it does not mean that Zhao Hai is not heartbroken. He has no way not to be heartbroken. He knows that in the future, when his level is high enough, the gold coins in the space can be used outside. Now that he spends money like this, it was like spending all his future money. How could he not feel heartbroken? But it's useless to say anything now. I can only wait until I sell the carrots and have money before I can make the next plan. Green also saw that Zhao Hai was unhappy. He suddenly smiled and said, "Master, in order to rush on the road, we rarely went to the woods to collect the seeds of those plants. Why not go to the woods to collect them now and see if we can collect some useful seeds, if possible, then we don't have to buy seeds and the space can be upgraded." Zhao Hai smiled bitterly. He didn't have much hope. You must know that Ark continent has recorded history for tens of thousands of years. During these tens of thousands of years, although their agricultural development has not been very good, but not bad. Almost all the crops they use now are carefully selected. Take the rice bamboo for example. The seeds of rice bamboo were received in the space and were immediately replaced by rice. What does this mean? It means that this kind of rice bamboo is better than rice. Even so, the evaluation of this kind of rice bamboo in space is not very high, let alone those wild plants growing in the wild. I am afraid that their role is not as good as that of rice. Not as good as those crops. But now, for Zhao Hai, mosquitoes are also meat. A little bit is better than nothing, so he nodded and said, okay, but you have to do this, Grandpa Green. How about I ask Zhao Kayan to help you? Green shook his head and said, it's better not to, I can do it myself. In this way, other people won't be surprised when we collect the seeds of other plants in the future. Maybe the radishes we bought will be if they find out, they will have an excuse. Zhao Hai hadn't thought of this yet. He nodded and said, okay, let's do it. But Grandpa Green, you must be careful. Just look for it on several nearby mountains. Last time there was someone you can poison us, and you can do the same next time. Green smiled and said, don't worry, young master, I will be careful. I will bring water and dry food when I go out. I will prepare all the food myself. Everything will be fine. Zhao Hai nodded and said, let's do this. The water you bring with you when you go out must be spatial water. In this way, even if someone wants to use poison to deal with you, the spatial water can still hold it for a while, and you will definitely not you can go too far, or send an undead creature to follow you. If anything happens, you can sit back and respond quickly with the undead creature. Green said with a smile, there's no need for this. I think I can just do it myself. Zhao Hai shook his head and said, let's do this, I will let the alien follow you. The space inside the alien's body is not small. If you find something good, you can let the alien transport it back directly. Otherwise, you will only have a big bag on your back. I'm afraid there's not much room for it. Green thought that this was the case, nodded and said, okay, but can the alien listen to me? Zhao Hai smiled and said, no problem. Since the last upgrade, I found that the alien has become much smarter. Apart from not being able to speak, I feel that he is no worse than ordinary people. Don't worry. Green then nodded and said, okay, I'll go right away. Zhao Hai smiled and said, it's okay, don't worry, those things can't escape on the mountain anyway. There haven't been many things in the manor recently. We can only wait until Laura comes back before we can take any action. You can rest in the manor for a while. Bar. Green smiled and didn't respond. Just as Zhao Hai said, during this period of time, Rock Mountain is still very safe. Whether it is the Versailles family or other forces, few people are willing to come. To provoke them, Zhao Hai's external identity is that of a black magician, and no one wants to provoke a black magician. Just as they were entering, Merlin and the others also came over. Now it was time to have lunch. Merlin and the others came to ask Zhao Hai and Green to have lunch. When Merlin saw that Green had gotten up, Merlin quickly said, how is it? It's done? Zhao Hai didn't want her to worry, so he smiled bitterly and said, it's done, don't worry. Green also understood what Zhao Hai meant. He didn't say much. He just turned to Merlin and smiled and said, I'm planning to go up to the surrounding mountains in the next 2 days to see if I can find anything else useful. Plants will upgrade the young master's space by 2 levels. Now there are 18 acres of land in the young master's space, and there will be more and more land in the future. Merlin was very happy when he heard what Green said. In their opinion, the more land they have, the more money they can make, and the Buda family is expected to prosper. They didn't know at all that they could open a ranch after upgrading the space, and Zhao Hai didn't tell them. Zhao Hai likes to talk about things after completing them. After a few people had eaten, the people in the manor were still busy. The slaves in Bushu were very happy now. When they were in the space, they had nothing to do. Learning calligraphy was a reward for them, and they received the reward every day. Doing nothing. In the eyes of those slaves, this is simply the life of a noble master. Slaves are different from normal people. They are also educated, but the education they receive is different from ordinary people. The education ordinary people receive is the orthodox education, but slaves are different. Slaves like Chu and who became monks halfway still have it better, like those whose parents are slaves. From the moment they were born, they received a completely enslaving education. In their education, the master is always right, which is their heaven and their God. Everything they have belongs to the master. This kind of enslaving education starts when they are still ignorant. The scary thing about this kind of education is that it can brainwash people and turn a person into a slave from beginning to end. The nobles and slave owners on the mainland were able to do this because there had been slave rebellions on a large scale before, but unfortunately, those slaves were later suppressed. Later, several slave rebellions occurred. Although they were suppressed, the nobles found that suppressing those slaves cost a lot of money, but if this money was used to educate those slaves and make those slaves become slaves from an early age, it would cost so much the money is not as much as the money spent to suppress those slaves. In this way, they will naturally have to educate those slaves into enslavement. Any civilization that has developed for tens of thousands of years will not be that simple, and these nobles can rule the continent for tens of thousands of years. Although the oldest nobles have perished, these ancient nobles on the continent now has also ruled the continent for thousands of years. Here, the 1,000-year-old nobles can only be regarded as young nobles. There are truly great nobles who have been inherited for tens of thousands of years. These people have been able to rule the mainland for so many years. Naturally, they have their reasons. If they did not have the corresponding means, how could they have ruled the mainland for so long? It is precisely because of these reasons that when these slaves were bought by Green, their hearts also followed the Buddha family. Zhou and An are different from those who have been slaves since childhood. They were originally civilians. Although the living standards of civilians on the mainland are not very good now, compared with those slaves, they are vastly different. The most important thing is, a slave for a time, a slave for life, a slave for one life, a slave for generations. It is precisely because of these reasons that Zhao Hai lets those slaves suffer every day, but they are not used to it, so now they are more comfortable when they are asked to do some work. Zhao Hai also knows this, and he knows that changing the minds of these slaves will not happen overnight, so now he is just teaching these slaves to read and let these slaves understand more principles. Zhao Hai never thought that one day he could change the whole world. Even if he had such a thought, it just turned around in his head and disappeared immediately. He knew what he was capable of and he was just an ordinary otaku. Although after arriving here, he had the farm as a cheating device, but he had no ambition to change the world. Especially when he knew that the history of this world was tens of thousands of years ago, he did not dare to have such an idea. For tens of thousands of years, the world was still in a slave society. This cannot but explain that the world the power of those ruling classes. Now he just wants to live a good life for himself, but being born in New China, he is really not used to ruling slaves, so he decided that as long as you work hard, you can get freedom. Award. The Black Soil Wasteland is his territory, and he regards it as his private property. However, no one can value his property. In the eyes of the nobles in the mainland, the Black Soil Wasteland is undoubtedly just a stone, without any useful stones. But Zhao Hai knew that once he improved the land in the Black Soil Wasteland, this ordinary stone would turn into a raw jade stone, and then it would become a treasure that everyone would snatch. So if he really protects this treasure of his, he must have strength. Although the strength in his hands is not weak now, it is not strong either. If he can open a ranch, then those monsters on the mainland they can all become his subordinates. By then no one will dare to mess with him. Chapter 84 Volume 1 Chapter 84 Weird Behavior Chapter 84 Weird Action. In the middle of the night, a notification sound came from the space, reminding Zhao Hai that the radish was ripe and ready for collection. However, Zhao Hai ignored him and slept until dawn before entering the space. He just wanted to see if many radish seeds could be planted. When he entered the space the next morning, the radish seeds in the space had already been planted, so he didn't have to worry about it. But it was a pity that when Zhao Hai entered the space the next morning, those radishes were still radishes and had not formed seeds. They were still in a mature state. This made Zhao Hai very disappointed. Zhao Hai couldn't help but murmured, "It seems that we can't save seeds. What a pity." As soon as he finished speaking, the space prompt sound came. Non-edible seed crops can only be planted after level 10 and according to the host's request. Please wait patiently. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, and then he was delighted. He originally thought that crops like radishes could not be planted at all, but he did not expect that as long as he passed the 10th level, he could plant seeds according to his own requirements. This was great. This also made Zhao Hai more certain that level 10 was definitely a hurdle. As long as he passed this hurdle, he could do more things. Zhao Hai was in a good mood. After harvesting the radishes, he planted another 4 acres, and then planted oil fruit trees and corn for 1 season each before coming out of the space. Green had been resting in the manor yesterday, but today he didn't want to rest. After getting up in the morning, he went out with the alien after breakfast. As Zhao Hai said, the alien has become very smart now. In addition to not being able to apart from heart-to-heart communication with Zhao Hai, he can still fully implement Zhao Hai's orders. Zhao Hai was not very worried. When he gave the order to the alien, he told the alien that he was not allowed to go too far. If Green wanted to go further, the alien would stop him. The furthest they could go if you were 4 hours away from the manor, you have to go back. Although Green was not afraid of anything, he accepted Zhao Hai's kindness and did not object. Anyway, the plants in the woods were not necessarily what they needed, and he did not take it to heart. In fact, there are many high-level plants in the woods, but in the woods there, such as Iron Mountain or some relatively primitive woods, you will encounter some relatively high-level magic plants, and some of these plants have certain they are offensive and some are very good magic materials. As long as you take these plants to any city, you can buy them for a big price. It is for this reason that it is impossible to find these plants in the mountains around Zhao Hai and the others. It is too close to Casa City. Many of the mountains and forests here have been developed. Even if they are not developed, it has also been swept away by some low-level mercenaries many times. Those high-level magic plants that can be bought for a little more money have been taken away long ago. That will wait until now. Therefore, due to Green's actions, Zhao Hai did not have too much hope. They could only treat the dead horse as a living horse doctor. They could only wait for the laborer to come back and make a deal with the laborer. Only when they had money could they start from those mercenaries. They bought some useful magic plants from their hands, but now they can't do anything. As soon as Green left the rocky mountain, those who monitored them immediately discovered that Green was now sitting in the body of the alien, so those people only saw the alien coming out of the rocky mountain and did not know how many people were inside the alien's body. However, Green's actions this time still lifted the spirits of those people. Everyone cheered up and stared at the aliens closely. But what surprised them was that the alien did not take the main road, but went straight into the mountain. This scared those who were monitoring Zhao Hai and the others. Those people thought that Zhao Hai was a black magician, and black magicians were always known for their weird tempers on the mainland. They thought that Zhao Hai had discovered them and was going to deal with them, so they ran away a lot on the spot. Those who ran away were mercenaries hired by some small families. These mercenaries were different from the dead soldiers trained by big families. They just took money to do things. Once there was danger, they would run away immediately. Those dead soldiers of big families are different. They have the first requirement to complete the mission. Even if they sacrifice themselves, as long as they complete the mission, everything will be worth it. Green had known for a long time that someone would be watching them, so when he came out of Rock Mountain, he was more vigilant, and he found many people. However, Green didn't touch them. If they wanted to monitor here, they could just let them monitor it. Anyway, they could see what they wanted them to see, and they couldn't see what they didn't want them to see even if they were killed, so Green didn't care at all. Do not worry. Under the attention of those people, Green and the alien entered the woods on the mountain. Once they entered the woods, Green got off the alien and looked around at the woods. Obviously, this forest has been destroyed by people. Although the trees are still there, the traces of people walking through the trees are too obvious. In some places, trails have been stepped on, and Green can see that there are traces of digging in many places in the woods, and it is obvious that all useful things have been dug away. Green shook his head, and then walked into the woods, carefully observing the plants around him. But just as Zhao Hai and the others thought, there are some famous plants on the mainland that you can't see at all in this forest. To the shadow. Although Green is a warrior and not an alchemist or pharmacist, don't forget that Merlin is a magician. Even if a magician is ignorant, he still knows the usefulness of some magic plants. Merlin naturally knows it too, and he can also make 2 magic potions. It is precisely because of this that Green also knows some magical plants, but none of the magical plants he knows are seen in this forest. Green couldn't help but take a breath and walked deeper into the woods. Suddenly, 2 wild fruit trees appeared in front of him. This kind of wild fruit tree is very common on the mainland. Although it tastes good, because the yield is not high, no one has ever grown it on a large scale. Planting and it's not a magic plant, so the nobles won't eat it, and commoners generally use their own land to grow food, so naturally they won't plant this kind of tree. Even if they want to eat it, they can just go to the mountain to pick some. So this plant has always been wild and almost never cultivated by humans. Just now, Green also saw 2 fruit trees called red fruit trees, but they were too inconspicuous, so he didn't notice them. Now that they were suddenly blocked by these 2 trees, Green noticed them. After looking at the 2 fruit trees, Green thought for a while, then took out his sword, cut off 2 branches from the tree, and put them into the space inside the alien body. The reason why Green did this is because this kind of red fruit is a very easy-to-live tree species. As long as you insert a branch into the moist soil, it can sprout on its own and grow up slowly, so Green only just cut down 2 branches. I don't know if this kind of tree can be used anyway. A dead horse can be treated as a living horse. After harvesting the red fruits, Green really couldn't hold them anymore. As long as he could see them, no matter what they were, he would dig them all and put them in the space inside the alien body. If he couldn't dig them, he would also get a branch. Come down and prepare to go back to see if you can farm. Now that spring has begun, both the fruits on the trees and the seeds in the ground are no longer visible. Only the new tree buds and newly grown seedlings can be seen. Those who were monitoring Green were all dumbfounded now. They didn't understand. There were things everywhere on the mountain. Why was Green poaching them? Is it possible to learn these things and become a treasure? These people kept Green's weird behavior in mind and prepared to report the situation to the family. At the same time, they also prepared to collect some plants collected by Green and take them home to study and see if these things were real. Very useful. Green can't remember how many kinds of plants he has collected in total. Anyway, he has collected them all as long as they are not the most common ones. Even if he sees some strange-looking weeds, he has also collected some. However, if these things he collected were sold outside, I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to buy even a single copper coin. No one would sell these common things. There is something going on the mountain. If you want, you can go up the mountain and pick some yourself. If you already have everything, it will be a waste of money. More than 3 hours later, Green had penetrated deep into the mountain, and the space in the alien's body had been filled up, and he could no longer hold it. Green then stopped, returned to the alien's body, and walked back. Go! As soon as Green left, the people who were monitoring Green immediately took action. They collected all the plants that Green had collected, and then prepared to report them to the family. In fact, what Green did today was not very outrageous. There were many people who came up the mountain to collect various plants, but the strange thing is that the things Green collected were worthless and no one would buy them. Such actions are very suspicious. Green didn't care about those people's reactions. In Green's view, those people's reactions had nothing to do with him. Anyway, he didn't do anything shady, so he had nothing to be afraid of. For Green and others, nothing is shady now. The only thing that is shady is their identity. As long as their identity is not exposed, they are not afraid of anything else. By the time Green returned to Stone Mountain, it was already afternoon and it was already past lunchtime. Merlin immediately went to get him something to eat, but Zhao Hai took in all the plants in the alien's internal space, good or bad. In space. Just as Zhao Hai put those plants into the space prompt sound came. Chapter 85 Volume 1 Chapter 85 The next upgrade. Powerful functions. Discovering new plants has no advantages and cannot be extracted. Discovering new plants has no advantages and cannot be extracted. Discover new plants and detect them as fruit trees. The fruits are edible and can make wine. The shortcomings are low yields. Obtain saplings, optimize the saplings, and digitize the saplings. They can be purchased in the space store. Discovering new plants has no advantages and cannot be extracted. Discover new plants and detect them as poisonous shrubs, which is convenient for planting and has a high survival rate. Extract saplings and digitize the saplings. They can be purchased in the space store to extract toxins, enhance the toxicity of robot-like objects in space, and strengthen the detoxification ability of space water. Discover new plants. The plants are thorny vines, which are easy to plant. They have high survival rates and strong viability. Extract the vines. The vines are digitalized and can be purchased in the space store. They can extract toxins and enhance the toxicity of robot-like objects in space. Strengthen the detoxification ability of space water. Extract the sting-like protective ability. Strengthen the attackability of robot-like objects in space. Extract the survival ability. And strengthen the survival ability of humanoid objects in space. Discovering new plants has no advantages and cannot be extracted. Discover new plants. Harmful weed plants, with high survival rate and high invasiveness, extract their advantages, and strengthen the weed capabilities of the space weed applicator. There were hundreds of notification sounds in the series, which made Zhao Hai feel dizzy, but he also heard a few good things from them, especially the poisonous shrub and the thorn vine. These things are good enough to use. It's a good thing to use as a fence. At the same time, he also noticed another thing, which was weeds. Unexpectedly, the weeds here had advantages and were actually extracted to strengthen the ability of the weed applicator in the space. This was a good thing. If he used weeds in the future when you cast the device, the ability becomes stronger. The remaining things are not very good. There are only some trees that are pretty good and have simple medicinal effects, but they are not very strong. Just like the ginkgo tree, the leaves can only be made into drinks. Not of much use. However, the number of plants was overwhelming. Green himself did not expect that he had obtained hundreds of plants this morning. Although these plants were not magic plants and were not worth taking out, however, some plants still have great advantages. Even if they are not extracted, the advantages are extracted by the space, which strengthens the advantages of the plants in the space. After a while, the notification sound of discovering new plants disappeared. Zhao Hai couldn't help but feel a little nervous. He didn't know if the space could be upgraded this time. Just as I was thinking about it, I suddenly heard another prompt sound coming from the space. Due to the discovery of new plants, the space has met the upgrade requirements. The space has been upgraded. The current space is level 10. The overall function of the space has been improved. Pastures can be opened. Breeding fruit-eating plants can realize gold coins in the space and use them outside the space. 3 teleportation points can be set to increase the space background and increase the monitor range. With the 3 teleportation points as the center, the diameter range is 500 meters, and the space a new function has been added. It can be transformed into a cane-style portable space, which is bound to the host and cannot be damaged or dropped. Please choose the cane style. Congratulations to the host and hope that the host will continue to work hard. Zhao Hai became more and more happy as he listened to this prompt. In the end, he almost jumped for joy. He didn't expect that the 10th level space function would become so powerful, and all the functions in it were what he needed. Great! Zhao Hai couldn't help but stand there and laugh. Although these functions are just names now, and he still has to study the specific uses, but just listening to the functions announced in the prompt's tone, Zhao Hai had almost the same idea in his heart. Now that he has figured it out, how to use these functions well will be of great benefit to him. Zhao Hai quickly ran to the thatched cottage, walked to the screen, and clicked on the screen. Sure enough, a file appeared on the screen, with the title Introduction to New Space Functions written underneath. Zhao Hai's hands were trembling with excitement. He took several deep breaths before clicking on the document. A ray of white light shot directly from the screen to Zhao Hai's head. Zhao Hai felt a pain in his head. He knew that he might have to sleep again. After a while, he immediately struggled to the bedside, fell down on the bed and fainted. This time there was a lot of content to introduce the new function. As soon as Zhao Hai fell on the bed, he felt that he fell into a deep sleep. He didn't know how long it took to wake up. Zhao Hai slowly opened his eyes, glanced around, stretched, sat up slowly, and said with a smile, "Good guy. This is a shotgun exchange for a cannon." When he just slept, his brain had completely accepted the introduction of the new function, and his brain had also been developed. Although he can't use magic now, people are becoming smarter and smarter. The new function just now he could memorize the introduction almost verbatim, which was almost impossible before, and now he has a better understanding of the capabilities of the current space. In the past, Warcraft could not be stored in the space warehouse, but now he can open a ranch and he can store Warcraft in his space warehouse, and he can also raise Warcraft in the space. Just like in the game, the farms and ranches in the space are not together. If Zhao Hai wants to go to the ranch, he only needs to open the ranch and he can go there with a thought, but he cannot see the farm and the ranch. There is no pasture visible from here on the farm. It's like they are not on the same plane. In Yaojin, the gold coins of farms and ranches are interchangeable with each other, and the same is true here. In the game, the warehouses of farms and ranches are not interchangeable, but not here. The warehouses of farms and ranches are interchangeable here. This made Zhao Hai feel a lot more relaxed. The function of the ranch is similar to that in the game. It can be used to raise animals. However, it has not been opened yet, so I don't know how many animals can be raised. Ranching is only an ability after reaching level 10. The other ability is breeding ability. Before level 10, crops that eat roots like radishes cannot be bred, but it is different after level 10. At level 10, he chose to breed radishes so that he could save money on seeds in the future. Before the 10th level, the gold coins in the space are just a kind of virtual currency and cannot be taken outside the space for use. After reaching the 10th level, these virtual currencies in the space can be taken outside the space. In other words, if Zhao Hai earns 100,000 gold coins in the space, he can also use the 100,000 gold coins outside this space, giving him another income. There is the teleportation point function. This function is Zhao Hai's favorite. That is, he can set 3 teleportation points, just like opening 3 entrances and exits in the space. If you wanted to go from the Black Soil Wasteland to Casa to come here, you have to sit on the back of the alien and drive for half a month to get to Casa City. But with this teleportation point, it is different. He can completely set the Stone Mountain as a teleportation point. Also set up a teleportation point in the Black Iron Castle, and then he can enter the space from the Black Iron Castle, and then choose to come out from the teleportation point here in the Rock Mountain, so that he saves half a month of traveling. But currently, a maximum of 3 teleportation points can be set up in the space. Once set, they cannot be changed, but even so, it is still a very powerful function. Moreover, with this upgrade, the function of the monitor has also been increased. Every transmission point is monitored, and the range is centered on the transmission point and has a diameter of 500 meters. This range is not too small. There is another function, although it is not very useful, but it is what Zhao Hai likes more, which is to add a background. The house that Zhao Hai lives in this space now is just a thatched hut, and there is only one room, and he can only live in the other ones. There is no way for people to come in and live in, but after adding this background, Zhao Hai can change to a background, such as the small villa-like background that was most commonly used when playing games, so that he no longer needs to live in a thatched house, but can live in that villa. Finally, there is another space, which is Zhao Hai's favorite one. This function is the portable farm function. This portable farm does not mean that he has another farm, but that the whole farm will become a walking stick. Hold it in Zhao Hai's hand, or place it in a place designated by Zhao Hai. Moreover, this cane cannot be lost or dropped. Moreover, this person's walking stick can use all the functions on the farm. Now the small shovels, small buckets, insecticides, herbicides, weed applicators on the farm have disappeared, and all functions are gone. Concentrated on the cane, even the function of monitoring the screen can be used with the cane, which is much more convenient. It was precisely because of these functions that Zhao Hai said that this time it was a shotgun exchange. He immediately came to the screen and clicked on the screen. Sure enough, there was an extra button on the screen which said select the cane style. Zhao Hai immediately clicked the button and pictures of walking sticks appeared on the screen. Some of these walking sticks were like branches, some were like swords, some were extremely gorgeous, some were simple, and some were it gives people an extremely holy feeling, but some of them are bone white, giving off a strange feeling. Zhao Hai looked at the pictures of these staffs carefully. Although he liked some of them very much, in the end he chose the bone white staff. Now that he is playing the role of a black magician, of course he has to use a staff like this would look like this. Zhao Hai clicked on the picture of the staff, and a white light flashed, and a staff appeared in his hand. This staff looked like it was made of bones. The whole body was the pale color of bones and it seemed to be made of bones. It is made up of bones one by one. On the top is a small skull. This skull is green and crystal clear, as if it is carved from gems. Chapter 86 Volume 1 Chapter 86 Testing New Functions Chapter 86 Testing New Features As soon as the staff arrived in Zhao Hai's hand, a space prompt sounded. The evil spirit staff can automatically extend and shorten, with a maximum length of 5 meters and a minimum length of 0.5 meters. In a dark environment, it can emit light. Use all features of the space. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that this staff could have such an effect. This was an unexpected surprise. Although the first two functions are not of much use to Zhao Hai, they are better than nothing. Zhao Hai is also very satisfied with the shape of this staff. Zhao Hai turned to look at the screen again and clicked on the store icon. The store page appeared. The first leaf was still an ordinary seed. Zhao Hai took a brief look and found that except for some seeds that existed in the original space, now there are many more plants unique to Arc Continent. Zhao Hai took a look up again and discovered the decorative options. Zhao Hai clicked on the decoration selection, and sure enough, the decoration page popped up, similar to when playing games, with pictures of a row of houses appearing on the screen. Zhao Hai took a look and sure enough, the price was marked under each picture. It seemed that this thing was really similar to a game, and using these backgrounds also required extra money. Zhao Hai looked at those pictures and finally found a background that could be bought for 1 gold coin. This background was also the small villa-like house that Zhao Hai used when playing games. At first glance, he saw that there was a fence beside the emperor, doghouse and background. However, Zhao Hai had no need for the next 3 items. He only spent 1 gold coin to buy a picture of a house and then decorated it. As soon as he clicked the decorated button, Zhao Hai felt the surrounding shaking, and then everything around him was surrounded by a layer of white light. When the white light disappeared, Zhao Hai was stunned. He found that he was no longer sitting on a small bench. He was sitting on a sofa. The sofa was now placed in a large living room, with enough space in the living room. It is more than 20 square meters in size. He is located on the sofa in the living room. This is a set of sofas, consisting of 3 sofas, 1 large, 2 small and 3. This large sofa can seat 5 people, and the small sofas on both sides each person can sit 1 person. The ground is carpeted, and there is a coffee table in the middle of the sofa. This coffee table is made of wood and is cherry red in color. It is very beautiful. Facing the big sofa is a 42-inch screen, which is currently closed. On the coffee table, there is something like a remote control. Zhao Hai stood up from the sofa and looked around and found that the house was really big. In addition to the living room, there were 2 bathrooms, a hot spring room, a utility room, and a kitchen on this floor, a restaurant, and 2 guest rooms. Zhao Hai took a look at the first floor and found that the bathrooms were all modernly furnished. Each bathroom was about 5 square meters in size. There was a toilet, a bathtub, and a shower head that could adjust hot and cold water. There is a hand basin for washing your face and a large mirror. The layout of the 2 bathrooms is the same. The facilities in the kitchen are very complete. It can not only be used for cooking Chinese food, but also has some utensils for making Western food. All the kitchen utensils are sparkling and obviously new. There is just a long dining table in the restaurant, which can accommodate 8 people. There are a few paintings hanging on the walls on both sides, very ordinary landscape oil paintings. The hot spring room is relatively simple. The floor is paved with small stones, which is not only non-slip, but can also massage the soles of the feet. The hot spring room is about 5 square meters. There is also a resting stone inside, and the walls are lined with tiles. There are some daily sundries in the utility room, and they are very complete. From basins to buckets, from mops to brooms, there are a lot of them. The most important thing is that Zhao Hai also saw 5 yuan here. Ironing board and an electric iron. The guest room is relatively simple. There is a bed, a wardrobe, 2 bedside tables with table lamps on them. There is also a xiaofan and 2 sofas by the window. There are 2 sofas in the guest room. The furnishings are the same. The area on the first floor alone was almost 200 square meters. Zhao Hai followed the stairs to the second floor. The second floor was different from the first floor. There was no living room or kitchen on the second floor. In addition to a bathroom, there are only 5 bedrooms, and the furnishings in 4 of them are similar to the 2 guest rooms on the first floor. Only one has an extra 32-inch screen like the one on the first floor, and the others are similar. Zhao Hai returned to the living room, sat on the sofa, and picked up the remote control. The buttons on it were very simple. The bottom row was an on/off button, and the second row was 1, 2, 3, and 3. Below the number is a ring-shaped button with 4 arrows drawn up, down, left, and right. In the middle is a button with the word OK written on it, and at the bottom is a very smooth, touchscreen-like thing. Zhao Hai looked at the remote control, pressed the on/off button, and the screen suddenly lit up. It was a desktop similar to the original screen. There were still the same few icons on the desktop, and there were no changes. Zhao Hai pressed a button, and a voice came from the screen. You haven't set up a teleportation point yet. Do you want to set it up now? At the same time, such words also appeared on the screen, and Zhao Hai said habitually, yes. Just after he finished speaking, the word yes on the screen seemed to have been clicked by someone. Then the sentence disappeared, and then a map appeared on the screen. Zhao Hai couldn't help but be stunned when he looked at the map. He didn't understand what it meant. At this moment, a prompt sounded, please select a teleportation point. Zhao Hai looked at the map carefully and found that the map clearly contained the names of all the places they had visited from the Black Soil Wasteland to here. From the castle to Card City, all the places they had visited were on this map. Only these places, those places they have not been to, are still dark. A small white arrow like a mouse pointer on a computer now appeared on the screen. Zhao Hai stared at the arrow blankly, then looked at the remote control in his hand and aimed his gaze at the bottom of the remote control. That touch screen-like thing, my finger lightly moved on it, and the mouse pointer on the screen also moved. Zhao Hai couldn't help but smile. He really didn't expect that the operation of this thing was so simple. He looked at the map carefully, pointed the pointer at Qinshi Villa, and then clicked. Sure enough, a prompt sound came, the first transmission point, Qinshi Villa, yes or no. Zhao Hai nodded and said, yes. A space prompt sounded, the first teleportation point, Qinshi Villa, are you sure? Do you want to establish a second teleportation point? The prompt ended, and the light at Qinshi Villa immediately a small green dot appeared. Zhao Hai quickly said, yes, it is built in Iron Mountain Castle. Zhao Hai wanted to try to see if he could control the screen with voice. Yes, Zhao Hai can also control the screen with voice. As soon as he finished speaking, a small green dot appeared on the map at Iron Mountain Castle. It was flashing there, and then the space prompt sounded once. A message came. The second teleportation point, Iron Mountain Castle, yes or no? Zhao Hai nodded and said, yes. The green dot at Taishan Castle stabilized and stopped flashing. At the same time, the space prompt sounded, the second teleportation point, Taishan Castle, are you sure whether to establish the third one? Teleport point? Zhao Hai stared at the screen for a while, then shook his head and said, not built. The prompt disappeared. The screen changed back to the desktop. Zhao Hai pressed one button at a time, and the screen suddenly turned into a mountain map of the Rock Mountain. Centered on the point where he entered the space, it was a 3-dimensional map with a diameter of 500 meters. Almost the entire Rocky Mountain is included. Zhao Hai's finger moved on the screen. First he clicked on the Manners Yard, and an image of the Manners Yard immediately appeared, followed by a burst of tinkling sounds. Zhao Hai was stunned and glanced around. Not finding anything that could make a sound, he suddenly turned his gaze to the screen, where and the others were smashing rocks. With their first movement, there was a tinkling sound. Zhao Hai's face was filled with joy. The monitor used to have no sound, but now it suddenly has sound. This is a surprise. Then Zhao Hai clicked the 2-character key again, and sure enough, the screen turned to the castle. The situation was similar to what he saw before, except that now the scope was larger. Originally, he could only see a little bit from the inner castle. But now you can see things outside the castle. Zhao Hai cheered happily, then clicked the OK button, and the space prompt sound came at once. Do you want to switch to the second teleportation point, yes or no? Zhao Hai nodded and said, yes. After saying that, he put down the remote control impatiently, stood up with the staff, and with a thought, left the space. When he arrived outside the space, Zhao Hai took a closer look and found that he had now returned to Taishan Castle, and was standing in his bedroom in Taishan Castle. Zhao Hai cheered in the bedroom, then ran to the window and opened it to look outside. He had a panoramic view of the castle. Although the black soil was still everywhere, this time, the black soil also looked cute. Zhao Hai held the window and laughed. The new function of space is really awesome and powerful. This is a faster way of action than any other method. He went from Rock Mountain to Iron Mountain Castle in just a moment. After a while, Zhao Hai calmed down, and with a thought in his mind, he returned to the space, and then said, "Switch to teleportation point no. 1. After saying this, he came out of the space with a thought in his mind. As soon as he came out, he found that he was standing in the bedroom of Qingxi Villa. He did not enter the space from here just now, but entered the space in the alien body. When he set the transfer point, he set it here in Qingxi Villa, so the space put this time the exit was arranged in his bedroom." Zhao Hai listened to the clanging sounds coming from outside, suppressed the joy in his heart, and once entered the space, Zhao Hai knew that it was time to open the ranch. Chapter 87 Volume 1 Chapter 87 Ranch Opening. As soon as he entered the space, Zhao Hai immediately said, "Open the pasture." A space prompt sounded at one time. To open a ranch, the farm needs to reach level 10, and the host meets the activation requirements. "Are you sure you want to open a ranch? Yes or no?" Zhao Hai immediately said, "Yes." Then he waited for the space's reaction, but this time he was disappointed. There was no response from the space, and only the prompt sound came, "The ranch has been opened successfully." Zhao Hai turned around and looked around, but found that there was no change at all, and there was no trace of the pasture anywhere. Although he had known that it would be like this, Zhao Hai was still a little disappointed. Zhao Hai's thoughts moved, and the white light on his body flashed. When the white light disappeared, the scenery in front of him was completely different. It turned into a green grassland, boundless as far as the eye could see. At this moment, a prompt sounded, "Welcome to the Space Ranch. The ranch is currently at level 1 and can raise 1,000 animals." Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that as soon as this ranch was opened, it could raise 1,000 action animals. Isn't this amazing? Zhao Hai took a look around and found that there was no place like a house at all, only a piece of grassland around and nothing else. Zhao Hai felt strange. He remembered that even if the space ranch had just been opened, it would have had a simple wall and a simple nest. Why was there nothing here? What worries Zhao Hai the most is that when the animals in the game are giving birth, there is a fixed area where they can give birth by themselves and nothing will happen. If there is no such area here, there will be trouble. When the baby is old, he is not a veterinarian, and he will not deliver animals. If the animals die during childbirth, then he will lose their lives. When he thought of this, Zhao Hai immediately said, "Show the animal production area." As soon as he finished speaking, a place of no less than 100 square meters appeared in front of him. This person was rectangular and circular, with a flashing green light in the middle, and a yellow halo surrounding the place. Got up. When Zhao Hai saw this situation, he couldn't help but breathed a sigh of relief. As long as there was a production area, he didn't have to worry about animal production problems. But Zhao Hai soon discovered another problem. This was just a piece of grass, and there was no feed grinder in the game. How could we feed those animals? And there is no water here. The animals in the game don't need to drink water, but don't the animals in this space also need to drink water? With no other choice, Zhao Hai had to ask once, how to solve the problem of animal feeding and drinking water. The prompt sound came, "Due to too much feeding action, the pasture will adopt a free-range mode. The feed added by the host will automatically be converted into grass on the ground, suitable for various animals to eat. There is a river 1,000 meters ahead for the animals." For drinking water, Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that space could solve the problem in this way. It turned all the feed into grass on the meadow. But this is okay for playing games. Most of the things in the game, the animals are all herbivores, and these grasses can solve the problem. But if he brings the animals from Arkland to the farm, there will definitely be carnivores. By then, you can't let the carnivore eat them too. Grass, right? Zhao Hai quickly asked his question, but the answer from the space turned out to be that there was insufficient information to answer it. Zhao Hai was completely dizzy now. Zhao Hai was very impatient. He didn't know what to do now, so he could only say, "Open the warehouse. Is there anything that can be turned into feed?" The space prompt sound came, searching and found items that can be used as feed. Radish leaves, corn, wheat, and rice can all be converted into feed. Each pound of radish leaves can be turned into feed a little bit, and the first pound of corn can be turned into feed. For 5 points of feed, each kilogram of wheat can be converted into 4 points of feed, and each kilogram of rice can be converted into 6 points of feed. Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that space actually classified all food crops into feed. It seems that anything that can be turned into feed can be turned into feed, and the more suitable it is for being used as feed. The more feed something is, the higher the points it gets when turned into feed. Zhao Hai changed his mind and opened the store page. Although there was no display screen here, the staff in Zhao Hai's hand emitted a white light, forming a projection in front of Zhao Hai. The store page appeared on it, and it was directly Ranch shop page. Zhao Hai took a look at this page, and there was no difference from the page in the game. If there was a difference, the pictures of animals that he could not buy now were in black and white, and the pictures of animals that he could buy were in color, and now he could buy them. There are only two kinds of actions, one is the chicken and the other is the rabbit. The chickens only cost 80 gold coins each, while the number 1 rabbit only costs 120 gold coins. According to the game, this price is not expensive, but according to the prices here in Arc Continent, they are very expensive. You must know that the long-tailed chickens and blue-eye rabbits used for meat here in Arc Continent are very cheap. Each long-tailed chicken only costs 1 silver coin, and each blue-eyed rabbit only costs 3 silver coins. Zhao Hai did the calculation, and immediately decided that he could not buy these animals in the space store. It was too uneconomical. You must know that he only had more than 200 gold coins now. If he bought them in the space, he could only buy 2 rabbits at most, or 3 chickens, but if you buy them outside, you can buy more than 2 fine long-tailed chickens and about 800 rabbits, which can almost fill the ranch. Although the problem of how to raise carnivores has not yet been solved, the pasture can be considered open anyway. As long as the pasture is open, it will be fine. Zhao Hai took a deep breath and thought and came out of the ranch. Generally speaking, Zhao Hai still likes the current situation of the ranch. It is better than in the game. In any case, everything in the game is dead and some digital things, but the things in this ranch are something he can see and touch. Zhao Hai feels happy when he thinks of these. This time Zhao Hai came out, which was different from the last time. The last time he came out of the space, he used a teleportation point, so he went directly into his bedroom. This time he came out from the same place where he entered, and it entered the space from the alien's body, so when it came out, it was still in the space inside the alien's body. When Zhao Hai appeared, he found that Green and the others were all here. Zhao Hai couldn't help but was stunned for a moment and said, "Grandpa Green, why are you all here? Are you waiting for me?" Green and the others were obviously relieved. Green said quickly, "Master, it's been almost 4 hours since you entered the space. Is there nothing wrong?" Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that he had entered the space for such a long time, but after a second thought, he was relieved. He had slept in the space, and it should have been such a long time. Zhao Hai smiled and said, "No problem, and this time the space has been upgraded again. This is a good thing, a great thing. Let's talk after we enter the space." After saying this, several people entered the space. Green and the others were stunned as soon as they entered the space, not because of anything else, but because they saw the small villa. Zhao Hai looked at them and said with a smile, "This house was bought in the space. It only costs 1 gold coin. If such a house is available, I will buy it and we can live in it from now on." After speaking, he led several people into the villa. Zhao Hai asked them to choose their own rooms. The 2 Wooden brothers chose the 2 rooms downstairs, Green and Merlin chose a room upstairs, and Meg also chose a room upstairs. And it is also the room closest to Zhao Hai's bedroom. When Zhao Hai saw that they had chosen a room, he smiled and said, "Now there is another function in the space. This function is what we need most." After saying this, Green and the others found themselves coming out of the space again. But after they came out, they felt a little strange, because they were now in a stone house and this was obviously not a rocky mountain. Green and the others looked around, and after a while, Meg said with some uncertainty, "Master, isn't this your room in Iron Mountain Castle?" Zhao Hai laughed and said, "Yes, this is my room in Iron Mountain Castle. We have returned to Iron Mountain Castle now." Green and the others were stunned for a moment, and then everyone rushed to the window, opened the window, and looked outside, only to find that people had really returned to Iron Mountain Castle. Green and others looked at Zhao Hai in shock. Zhao Hai smiled slightly and said, "Space now has the ability to set 2 teleportation points, just like the front door and the back door of a house. I have put these 2. The 2 teleportation points are set up at the rocks and at the castle. From now on, we can go in and out of the 2 places at any time like we do now." Green and the others looked at Zhao Hai with surprise on their faces. They did not expect such a good thing. They arrived in an instant after half a month's journey. This is really amazing. While Zhao Hai was telling them about the upgraded changes in the space, he followed a few people out of the house and arrived at the square of the inner castle. Several people entered the space again. The reason why Zhao Hai chose to enter the space here is because if they want to let those slaves return to Iron Mountain Castle from space, we can't let those slaves come out of their rooms. It would be better to choose the square of the castle. Several people entered the space, and Zhao Hai took them into the pasture for a look, and told them that they could raise some magical beasts here. Green and the others were even more happy. If they could raise magical beasts here, they would have another source of income. It wasn't until Zhao Hai told Green and others about the new abilities in the space that they walked out of the space. As soon as they came out of the space, Zhao Hai took out 100 gold coins and gave them to Green. Green will go to Casa City tomorrow to buy 300 blue-eyed rabbits and put them in the space to raise. These gold coins will be embodied in the space. Chapter 88 Volume 1 Chapter 88 Returned to the Castle. Green and the others were not too surprised. They also learned about some new functions in the space. The ability to possess cash coins was considered a kind of thing. To be honest, Green and the others were very concerned about this function of the space. Green and the others also discovered that this space is mainly used for farming, and they are not very good at fighting. However, just farming is also a problem. There are too many harvests in this space. Take radish as an example. Zhao Hai doesn't grow anything now. If he only grows radishes, as long as he keeps planting them for a year, he may even have enough radishes to produce on the mainland in the next 10 years. This kind of output is really too high, and it will have a great impact on the entire mainland market. After all, just taking out food is a big problem. But if the gold coins in the space can be manifested, it will be different. They can buy the radishes in the space. Although the price is not as high as selling them outside, they will not worry about sales. When the time comes, they can completely buy them. Many gold coins can be used outside the space. Gold coins are hard currency and can be used to buy anything. After a night's rest, Green set off early the next morning and really headed for Casa City. This time they didn't hide and tuck them in. They were just honest people rushing to Casa City through the rocks. After all, they were going to buy things. Yes, I'm not afraid of others seeing it at all. After Green left, Zhao Hai also came to the yard. He was going to move all the slaves back to the Black Iron Castle. Now in Casa City, sooner or later, it was a problem. It was better to move them back to the Black Earth Castle. Good luck and worry less. Zhao Hai is not worried about the safety of those slaves. In the past, as long as Zhao Hai entered the space, people outside would have no way to contact Zhao Hai, but it is different now. Now Zhao Hai's undead creatures have been upgraded, and even if Zhao Zui and the others are here, even if they send the slaves back to Taishan Castle, Zhao Zui and the others will be sent there to watch. If anything happens, Zhao Zui and the others can contact Zhao Hai directly. This may also be a benefit brought by the space upgrade. After Zhao Zui and the others leave the space, they can also directly contact Zhao Hai, which is much better than before. It is a pity that the aliens cannot speak and cannot do anything. To Zhao Zui and the others. Zhao Hai also discussed it with Green and the others yesterday, and Green and the others agreed that after all, the manor was too small and too close to Casa City, so it was easy for others to spot the flaws, so it would be better to let them go back to the castle. After saying that the castle is their route no matter what, after they return here, they can also install all the millstones and rollers they made during this period, or they can use the stones quarried here in the rock mountain to improve the castle. Make some improvements. Although the castle has not suffered too much damage, it is inevitable that some small places will be damaged after so many years. However, it was not very convenient to quarry stones at Taishan before, so it has not been repaired. Now it is better. Rock Mountain, there are plenty of stones here, which can be used to repair the area properly. Of course, people can't stay away from Stone Mountain here. Zhao Zui and the others used the black mist technique to cover it. However, if Zhao Zui and the others leave for a long time, the black mist technique will lose its effect. In that case, Stone Mountain, the situation here makes it clear at a glance. Zhao Hai doesn't want that, so Zhao Zui and the others have to stay here, at least 2 people. Zhao Hai has also figured it out. He plans to leave Zhao Kai and Zhao Lian here in Rock Mountain and lead 100 beast-shaped undead creatures, which is enough to deal with ordinary situations. If there is any situation, they only need to block it for a while. Zhao Hai can arrive with reinforcements. And Zhao Hai is also planning to keep Zhao Qian here. Although Zhao Qian can no longer remember his past, his abilities are still there. Staying here can just put him on the mountains outside. There are so many mountains outside. People sent by other forces watched them, and Zhao Hai happened to send someone out to watch those people. At the same time, Zhao Hai also has a worry, that is, the people behind Zhao Qian. Zhao Qian's dealing with them cannot be a temporary move. Someone must have ordered him to do it. However, due to amnesia, he no longer knows who the people behind him are. I can check slowly. Zhao Zui and the other 6 were left, and Zhao Hai was going to send them back to Iron Mountain Castle. 2 people were left to guard the castle, and the other 4 people led the undead creatures to catch the undead creatures and warcraft in the Carrion Swamp. Now that the ranch has been opened, as long as they capture undead creatures and monsters, they can put them in the space to raise them. In this way, Zhao Hai can slowly form an army of monsters. Only after the army of warcraft was truly established did Zhao Hai dare to improve the land at Iron Mountain Castle, otherwise he would not have the courage. In addition, Zhao Hai also prepared wood and stones to go to the castle to watch, firstly for the convenience of managing the slaves, and secondly for the safety of the slaves. Zhao Hai and the others can't leave now and can only wait here in Rock Mountain. They have to wait until Laura comes back and make a deal with Laura before they can leave. Although they can now sell things to Space City in exchange for gold coins, the price offered by Space City is too low and not cost-effective after all, so Zhao Hai still wants to cooperate with Laura. After sorting out what he was going to do in the future, Zhao Hai started to take action. He first asked the slaves to return to Iron Mountain Castle. This didn't take much effort. Those slaves were used to entering the space, so they didn't know that Zhao Hai wanted them to go back to Iron Mountain Castle. They thought Zhao Hai was going out, so they took them like entered the space like that before. When he saw that everyone had entered the space, Zhao Hai said, "Let me tell you something. Now that the space has been upgraded, we can go back to Iron Mountain Castle directly from this space. I want to send everyone back, so everyone can install those millstones and repair the castle." The slaves looked at Zhao Hai in a daze. They still didn't quite understand what Zhao Hai meant. Zhao Hai glanced at them and said impatiently, "To put it simply, this space is like a room with 2 rooms. There are 2 gates, one gate is at Rock Mountain and the other gate is at Iron Mountain Castle. Now I want you to go back to Iron Mountain Castle and repair it. Are there any problems?" Those slaves have always obeyed orders. Although they feel the magic of this space now, they don't have much reaction. The moment they knew there was space, they felt the magic in the space. Now the space is a little more magical. They won't be surprised anymore. When Zhao Hai saw how calm their reactions were, he couldn't help but feel speechless for a while. He really didn't know whether he should be happy that these people had big hearts or be angry that these people were heartless. With a wry smile and a shake of his head, Zhao Hai directly let wood and stone, as well as Zhao Zui, lead the slaves back to Iron Mountain Castle. Zhao Hai has placed the teleportation point at Taishan Castle in the square of the inner castle, so these people can go directly to the inner castle when they come out of the space. After they came out, Zhao Hai immediately released the millstones and rollers they had made in the space, and also released all the stones mined from the Rock Mountain, so that the slaves would not have nothing to do. Zhao Hai took out enough food for Shidu and the others, and asked Merlin and Meg to help them settle down the slaves. At the same time, he also took out all the daily necessities, such as quilts and copper basins. Now Zhao Kai and Zhao Lion have led 100 undead creatures to guard the Stone Mountain. Green has also gone to Casa City. There should be nothing going on in the Stone Mountain in the past 2 days. They can safely settle down in the castle. One time. It has been more than 20 days since they left the castle, but there has been no change in the castle. There is just some dust falling and it only needs to be cleaned. After cleaning up, these slaves immediately got busy. Under the leadership of An, they installed millstones and stones. The wood they used was oil fruit wood. This kind of oil fruit wood is produced by the oil fruit trees in Zhao Hai space. This kind of wood, the wood itself is very oily and very strong. With the improvement of space, the wood will be even better. However, because of its high oil content, this kind of wood is extremely flammable and is a good material for burning fires. If you use it to make tools, you must be prepared to prevent fire. But there is no need to worry about it in Iron Mountain Castle. Not only does the castle have a moat, there are also several small rivers in the city, which are used to provide water to the people in the city. There is no need to worry about fires at all. Although An and the others are not carpenters, the millstones and mills themselves do not require much skill. The grinding frame and rod itself are very simple, and the same is true for the millstones. They mainly use stones and wood only plays a supportive role, so they can do it without force. After almost arranging the things that the slaves were going to do, Zhao Hai found Mei Lin and said, "Grandma Mei Lin, let's go to the canyon and have a look." Merlin was also very concerned about the condition of the corn planted there, and immediately nodded and said, "Okay, I should go and take a look." The two of them arrived at the valley from the mountain lake. As soon as they entered the valley, Zhao Hai and Mei Lin were stunned. They did not expect that all the corn in the valley actually grew. Although the seedlings are not very tall and look a little sickly, they are indeed corn seedlings. Looking at the seedlings in front of them, both Merlin and Zhao Hai smiled. They had only renovated 30 acres here, but because of the attack of the monsters, they had no choice but to give up. After the monsters retreated, the land had already been paved. There was a layer of poisonous bird droppings. Although Zhao Hai saw that these seedlings were still growing, he didn't have much hope. He just wanted to use the seedlings here for an experiment. Although the outside is covered with a layer of poisonous bird droppings, there is still good improved soil underneath. Zhao Hai just wants to know whether these seedlings can still grow under such circumstances. However, because he was going to Kasa City, Zhao Hai could only let them fend for themselves. Now it seems that the vitality of these seedlings is still very tenacious. Chapter 89 Volume 1 Chapter 89 Trivia Green represents hope. When Zhao Hai and Mei Lin saw the green seedlings, their hearts were full of hope. Although the green seedlings did not grow well, they represented a tenacious spirit. They could survive poisonous covered in bird droppings. It grows out of the ground tenaciously, which is an amazing thing in itself. Zhao Hai and Mei Yao both bent down and gently stroked a small seedling. This seedling really looked a bit malnourished. Even if it grew up, it would be impossible to harvest much food. But to be honest, Zhao Hai, they really don't need this much food now. Zhao Hai stood up slowly, glanced at Merlin beside him, and said with a smile, "Grandma Merlin, the seedlings here can still grow, which is beyond my expectation. Now we will use space water to water this place. Let's take a look and see if we can make them grow better." Merlin nodded, stood up, and walked to Zhao Hai. Zhao Hai waved the evil spirit cane in his hand forward and shouted, "Water." He knew that the evil spirit cane could use all functions in space, so this time he could release space water with just the evil spirit cane. Sure enough, as soon as he finished speaking, the space prompt sound came. The portable space has detected that there is contaminated land ahead. Do you want to make improvements? Zhao Hai was stunned for a moment, and had to say again, "Yes." A prompt sound came from the space. Please select the amount of improvement. Then a silhouette appeared in front of him, with a row of numbers appearing on it, from 10 to 100, the following units are acres. This made Zhao Hai stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that now the space can actually improve so much land at one time. The number of 100 means that he can improve up to 100 acres of land at one time. It turned out that 10 times, it seems that this is another benefit brought by space upgrade. Zhao Hai immediately chose the largest number of 100 acres. As soon as he finished choosing, a stream of clear water rushed out from his cane. This stream of clear water slowly flew into the sky, and then fell from space like raindrops. After landing, the land in front of Zhao Hai was immediately moistened by the water, and the color of the land was also changing at the same time. Merlin also noticed this, but she had long known that Zhao Hai's space water could improve the land, so she was not too surprised. However, she found that the area of land improved by space this time seemed a bit large, greatly exceeding Zhao Hai's. The 10 acres previously mentioned. Merlin looked puzzled as more and more land was wetted by water, until she couldn't see beyond it. Merlin asked Zhao Hai puzzledly, "Master, this water?" Zhao Hai turned to Merlin and smiled and said, "It's okay. After the space upgrade, the area of the improved land has also increased. Now we can improve 100 acres per day." Merlin's face lit up and he said, "That's great. It only takes about 10 days to improve the land here. At this time of year, although it's a little late, it shouldn't be too late. We can still plant things." Zhao Hai nodded. To be honest, improving 100 acres of land on this day was a good thing for him. Let alone anything else, they could make good use of the land in the valley. However, Zhao Hai has also thought about it. He still wants to grow corn on the 1,000 acres of land here, so that he doesn't have to worry about the feed problem in the pasture. They can raise 1,000 animals in their pasture, and these 1,000 animals consume a lot of feed every day. There is a lot of inventory in the space now, but it is not too much. Zhao Hai is still prepared to store a little more. Zhao Hai still has a lot of food in his hand, so he has not worried about the food problem. It is better to plant a season of corn here first. After the corn is harvested, the weather will get cold and nothing can be planted by then. Zhao Hai plans to plant bamboo rice here next year. The yield of bamboo rice is very high, and after the improvement of space, the yield will definitely be higher, and it will gradually become their main food. At the beginning, what Green and the others bought the most was food. Now the food in Zhao Hai's hands is enough to feed them for 10 years. It is precisely because of this that Zhao Hai is not in a hurry about food. He plans to eat all the food in his hands first. After that, more food was planted. Although the food would not rot if kept in the space, Zhao Hai still felt a little uncomfortable when he thought of eating food every day. And this time, after they finished the transaction with Laura and the others, they would also buy some slaves. If there are more people, they will naturally have more to eat. The grain in his hand can last 10 years for 100 people, but if there are more people, it's no longer possible, so we still have to grow some food. But it would be too wasteful to just use the space to grow food. You still need to grow food outside, not to buy it, but mainly to have enough food for yourself. As long as the 1,000 acres of land here are planted with bamboo and rice, then they don't have to worry about food problems in the future. As he spoke, 100 acres of land had been improved. Now the land was just a little moist, so it was just right for planting. Zhao Hai's cane also had the ability of the small shovel in the space, so it could naturally be used for planting, so he just put the 70 acres of land have also been planted with corn. Although it is a bit late, it doesn't matter. The worst thing is to water them twice more in the future to make them grow faster. Nowadays, using a cane to plant corn is not like using a small shovel. You can still see the small shovel working there. As long as Zhao Hai gives the order, the land in front of him seems to have been enchanted. It immediately turned into what he needed without any trouble at all. In a short while, the corn was planted. After using this water staff, I realized how powerful it was. Not to mention, he could actually use all the functions on the farm. But when he thought of this, Zhao Hai suddenly remembered something. Everything in the space was modeled on the game. Like the farm, the tools in the game are all available on the farm, but when he opened the ranch time, but didn't see the ranch tools? How is this going? Is it because the pasture adopts the free range mode and all the tools have been cancelled? Zhao Hai originally wanted to go into the space to study it, but finally decided to forget it. The affairs in the valley had been dealt with and they should return to the castle. Merlin naturally didn't know what Zhao Hai was thinking. When she saw that everything here had been dealt with, Zhao Hai said he wanted to go back to the castle. Naturally, she wouldn't stop him, but she still planned to go back and have a good explanation with Ju and the others. Let and the others make a small boat out of the remaining oil fruit trees. Although Zhao Hai has planted the land here, he will still have to serve it in the future. When serving the land, she can't deliver it every day, right? She couldn't send so many people and she didn't have that much time. In the past, I wanted to make straw boats because they had no wood and were not very good at building boats. Now that we have wood, we can slowly learn how to build boats. We are not in a hurry anyway. If it doesn't work, just make some simple rafts first. Well, there are no wind and waves in the mountain lake, so the raft is sufficient. When the two returned to the castle, the slaves had already settled down. Zhao Hai and Merlin were preparing to go to Rock Mountain. After all, their main focus was still there in the recent period, and although Zhao Hai and the others were back, Zhao Kai and the others are still leading many undead creatures to collect stones from the Rock Mountain. In the future, even if Zhao Hai and the others complete the transaction with Laura, they will still have to go to the Rock Mountain to collect stones from time to time. However, when leaving, Zhao Hai still left a lot of alfalfa seeds for the wood and the others. Alfalfa is a fertile field crop. When Zhao Hai is ready to let the wood and the others have nothing to do, he will plant alfalfa on the mountain so that the alfalfa can be harvested. When used as feed, it can also make the land on the mountain more fertile. After explaining the affairs of these slaves, the rest is Zhao Zui's business. Zhao Hai is going to leave Zhao Chong and Zhao Lu in the castle and let them lead 200 undead creatures to guard the castle, and let Zhao Zui take the rest. The three people at the bottom led the undead creatures into the carrion swamp to catch the undead creatures and magical beasts. People can't enter the carrion swamp, but Zhao Zui and the others are undead creatures, so it's just right for them to go in. Moreover, by capturing the undead creatures and monsters, Zhao Hai's combat effectiveness will be stronger, which is very good for them. But before going in, Zhao Hai also had a good explanation with Zhao Zui and the others. When they went in, they first focused on exploring the path, and first moved around the periphery of the swamp. Don't go too deep. If they found anything wrong, they would come out immediately. Now Zhao Hai only has a few useful people in his hands, and he doesn't want to suffer any losses. Because Zhao Zui and the others are undead creatures, it is inconvenient for them to come forward when dealing with many things, but because they are Zhao Hai summoning creatures, so it is still very helpful to Zhao Hai in combat. Zhao Hai does not want them to lose in the corpse swamp. Although Zhao Zui and the others are now Zhao Hai summoned creatures, their intelligence is still there. They have been wandering on the mainland for so many years, except for the losses they suffered at the hands of the Xenia family and Zhao Hai. What's the disadvantage? When it comes to combat experience, Zhao Hai can't catch up with them even if he flatters them. However, they still listened to Zhao Hai's words very seriously and didn't say much. Now Zhao Hai is their god. No matter what Zhao Hai says, they have to listen, not to mention it is a good word. After the explanation, Zhao Hai lets them go. Although Zhao Hai has released almost all the undead creatures in his hands, he has not let go of the aliens. Firstly, because the aliens can be used as mounts, which is very convenient, and secondly, the aliens are spiritually mutated immortals. The creature is much more powerful than ordinary undead creatures, and it can be regarded as Zhao Hai's personal bodyguard. In addition to the aliens, Zhao Hai also has several humanoid undead creatures left by his side. These humanoid undead creatures are similar to Zhao Qian. They were not very powerful originally, but after several powerful events in the space, they already had the skills of no less than a 5th level warrior, so Zhao Hai kept them as his own bodyguards. Chapter 90 Volume 1 Chapter 90 The Powerful Magic Peach. After arranging everything in the castle, Zhao Hai and Merlin went to Rock Mountain. Although there is nothing going on there now, because Green is there and because he has to wait for Laura, Zhao Hai recently they will still stay there for a long time at Rock Mountain. Zhao Hai has one more thing to do here in Rock Mountain. He wants to find out the person behind Zhao Qian. Zhao Qian suddenly attacked them. So far there is no clue at all. The existence of the person behind Zhao Qian has always been a great threat to them, so Zhao Hai wants to find that person. There is the person behind Zhao Zui and the others. Now it is certain that the person behind Zhao Zui and the others must be very powerful. It is precisely because of this that Zhao Hai wants to know who they are even more. If such a person cannot be investigated, coming out has always been a threat to Zhao Hai, like a bomb, who doesn't know when it will explode. If you want to check these things, you can't go to the Black Soil Wasteland. Anyway, now there is a teleportation point in the space, which allows Zhao Hai to easily travel back and forth between the two places, just like going to the front yard and backyard of his own home. He can stay there. In fact, if it comes down to it, Zhao Hai prefers Guo to be in the space. In the space, he can see the situation in the Rock Mountain through the screen, and he can also see the situation in the Iron Mountain Castle. Moreover, there is a hot spring in the space villa. The voice of the voice can also be heard on the screen, so he doesn't have to run back and forth. However, Zhao Hai still took Meg and Merlin to the Rock Mountain to have a look, and after finding that there was nothing going on there, he took the two of them back to the space villa. After returning to the villa, Zhao Hai counted up how many things he still had. He first looked outside. In addition to the 10 acres of oil fruit trees growing outside, he planted 2 acres of the remaining 8 acres of land. Cucumbers, 2 acres of peas, 2 acres of pumpkins, 2 acres of radishes. This is the last 2 acres of radish left by Zhao Hai to plant. However, because it was planted after the space upgrade, Zhao Hai has already left this kind of radish seed. He wants to see how many radish seeds 1 acre of land can produce, but obviously, the radishes that are to be planted will mature much later than the radishes that are harvested directly. 12 hours have passed, but the radishes that have been planted are still not ready for harvesting. Zhao Hai glanced at these growing crops and didn't look at them anymore. Anyway, they are still so long if you look at them, and they are still growing if you don't look at them. Why are you always staring at them when you have nothing to do? Sitting in the living room of the villa, the screen shows after checking the situation in the castle, he then opened his warehouse page. He wanted to see what other seeds he had in his warehouse. After looking at it, he found that there were quite a lot of seeds in his warehouse, including some seeds of oil fruit trees, corn, etc. Seeds, wheat seeds, rice bamboo seeds, red fruit saplings, thorn vines, thorn grass seeds, and a bag of magic peach seeds. Wait, the seeds of the magic peach? What is this? Why didn't I know there was such a thing? Zhao Hai moved his hand, and a small bag appeared in his hand. As soon as he took the bag, he heard the space prompt sound, Magic Peach, a magical crop, level 10. There are 2 in the bag. Each you can plant 1 magic peach tree. Each magic peach tree uses 1 acre of land. Each magic peach tree can produce 1 magic peach. The tree is a 2-season crop. The magic peach meat can heal injuries and can instantly restore the magic power of the magician. You can receive a pet from the peach core. There is no limit on the type or level of the pet. To use the magic peach core, you need to drop blood to identify the owner. Once the owner is recognized, it cannot be changed. The magic peach cannot be left as a seed. It is a space-exclusive crop and cannot be taken out. Space use. Zhao Hai listened to the prompt's tone blankly. This was the plant with the most regulations among the plants he got, but it was also the one that shocked him the most. The pulp can be used to heal injuries and restore magic power. The most important thing is that the core can also be used to collect pets, which is great. You must know that except for some summoners, no one on the mainland can accept pets. Most people only have mounts and no pets. The so-called pet is a kind of fighting beast with which the owner has the same mind. It is much better than riding. Some strong men on the mainland who are not summoners will usually catch a newborn little monster and raise it from an early age. When they are raised, they will be used as pets, but they are not real pets after all. In addition, The level of pets raised in this way will not be too high under normal circumstances, so the combat effectiveness of those pets can be imagined. Of course, there is also a way to let a person who is not a summoner have his own battle pet. This method is the blood contract method. You use your own blood and vitality to sign a contract with a monster, so that the monster can become yours. You have a battle pet, but the most important thing is that the more experienced the battle pet is, the more life you have to pay, which makes many strong people discouraged. After all, the battle pet is good, but life is more important. Everyone wants to get a battle pet, but they can't get it due to various restrictions. However, Magic Peach Corps can help people collect battle pets. They only need to prepare them. If people on the mainland know about this, they will definitely go crazy. Zhao Hai held the Magic Peach seed bag in his hand and couldn't help laughing. He was really happy. With the Magic Peach seeds, Green and the others' combat effectiveness could be improved at once. This thing is here in Arc Continent. Is definitely a heaven-defying existence. Merlin and Meg were also in the villa. They were startled by Zhao Hai's laughter and ran out. They didn't know what Zhao Hai was laughing at. Merlin walked to Zhao Hai and said to Zhao Hai in confusion, "Master, is there anything you are happy about?" Zhao Hai looked at Merlin and said with a smile, "Grandma Merlin, do you want a battle pet?" Merlin was stunned. A strong person like her naturally understands the role of a battle pet, and naturally wants a battle pet. She nodded and said, "Of course, I think everyone on the continent wants one. I want a battle pet." Zhao Hai shook the bag in his hand and said with a smile, "There are 2 magic peach seeds in it, which are specially rewarded in the space. Only one of these seeds can be planted in an acre of land, and one seed will grow. It can grow into a magic peach tree. A magic peach tree can only grow 1 magic peach. The pulp of this magic peach can heal injuries and can also restore people's magic power instantly, but these are not the most important. The most important thing is, the core of this magic peach can help you collect war pets. As long as you get the core of this magic peach and you drop a drop of blood on it, it will belong to you forever. You can use this core to collect it for yourself. A battle pet, this battle pet will always follow you." Although Zhao Hai's words were very awkward, Merlin understood. Both Merlin and Meg looked at the bag in Zhao Hai's hand in disbelief. If Zhao Hai hadn't been so magical recently, they would definitely not believe Zhao Hai. This is amazing, right? How could there be such fruit? Merlin said to Zhao Hai uncertainly, "Master, are you telling the truth? Is this fruit really so magical?" Zhao Hai smiled and said, "I don't know now what the space says. After all, we haven't planted this fruit yet. I plan to use 2 acres of land to plant this fruit after everything in the field is collected. Plant 2 seeds and see if it's really that magical." Merlin's face flushed with excitement and he said, "It must be possible. Space has never deceived people. I think it must be possible." Zhao Hai smiled and said, "I hope, if it is really possible, then you will all have your own battle pets in the future, haha." Merlin and Meg are also very happy. Having their own battle pet has always been the dream of every strong person on the continent. Now that they finally have hope, of course they are happy. Zhao Hai opened the bag and poured out the seeds. There was nothing strange about the seeds. They looked like 2 very ordinary peach cores. Zhao Hai looked over them several times and found nothing different. Then he put the 2 peach stones into the bag, and put them back into the warehouse with a movement of his hand. Merlin and Meg kept staring at the bag in Zhao Hai's hand. It wasn't until the bag disappeared that she withdrew her gaze. Merlin turned his head and glanced at the radishes growing just outside, and couldn't help but said in his heart, "I really hope it will be sooner. See what this magic peach looks like." Zhao Hai smiled and said, "It's okay. When everything in the ground is harvested, I have to plant these 2 magic peaches. Then you can see them." Merlin frowned and said, "Master, can't the pulp of the magic peach be used to heal injuries? It can also restore magic power instantly? That is also a good thing. For our magicians, it is important to instantly restore magic power during battles. It's very important. There are many potions on the mainland now, but they can restore about 60% of the magic power instantly. Even the best potions can only restore 80% of the magic power at most. It can't be like Magic Peach. Wouldn't it be too wasteful if we just ate the pulp?" Zhao Hai smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. We can take out the pulp first and store it in the warehouse, and then take it out when we need it." Merlin was stunned for a moment, then smiled bitterly and said, "This man is old and his brain is not working well. He only thinks about eating the pulp of the fruit, but he never thought that he could directly remove the pulp. But young master, the inside of this fruit is directly if you take it off, it won't make the pulp lose its effectiveness, right? In that case, our losses will be considerable." Zhao Hai frowned and said, "This is a problem, but we don't know what's going on right now. Let's wait until we plant the magic peach." Merlin nodded, took a look at the plants outside and said, Master, is this the 6th season of oil fruit trees? Are you still planning to plant oil fruit trees when they are in season this time? Zhao Hai thought for a while and said, I plan to plant radishes for a few seasons first. Now the stock of radishes in our space is too small. If we really trade with Laura, too few radishes will not work. I am going to save too. Jai's carrot is talking. Merlin nodded and said that's fine. When we are cooperating with Laura, we can ask them what crops they need, and then we will plant these crops, so that we don't have to worry about not having buyers. Zhao Hai nodded. He also thought that was a good method. After all, it would be a great loss if the things grown could not be turned into money.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the story, so please leave a comment below. And if you want more fanfiction audio, be sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.